we are streaming again for everybody who is watching. Let's ask him if, in case he's not listening. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a test
Alright.
before the show started for all you guys out there. We actually went on Twitch, made sure everybody could be heard. We went on the radio stations and did a test run like we do every week because we've had this problem months ago. So now can everybody else be heard? Ed, talk for a second. Go get it. Go.
Hold on a minute. It's
Okay.
still playing the damn commercials. So
Nice.
I don't know.
Gonna need this beer apparently.
Hell yeah.
We got it.
Okay, so you hear us
Yeah.
all now. Von Hegner, you hearing everybody now?
1, 2, buckle my shoe.
3, 4, put it in his back door.
What?
5, 6, lick off my dick.
What the hell?
7, 8, I'll watch while I masturbate.
What the hell did you guys invite me into?
God knows.
Do you really need to
Haven't
ask?
you
9,
missed
10, he's out
us?
again.
Right. Okay, now, Andrea, did you tell everybody what you're putting in your mouth over there?
No. You told me to stop.
Stop.
Okay, finally. I finally got my Groovy Blue Tatianas
Oh yeah.
from back order. So that's what I'm smoking.
Nice.
Yeah.
And by the way I fixed that is I turned off OBS and turned it back on. That's all I did. I
Wait-
didn't change anything.
Wait for it. Wait, I
Huh.
request here.
What?
I want to see that go in those green lips.
What?
Smoke it.
Cigar, please. Suck it. Okay, I'm good.
There you go. And I'm done.
Time for our special guest to go to bed.
It's been fun, guys. You take care now.
That's
Yeah,
right.
good night, man.
And speaking of special, the one man who comes on our show that definitely defines the word special is Ronnie Mexico.
Yay!
He's like his very own
Yay.
Kermit the Frog there. Yay!
Yay! Yay!
What are you drinking and smoking, dude?
Not
smoking?
smoking anything yet. I'm gonna light something up in between the breaks. I'm being pretty American right now. Miller
All
Lite.
right, Miller Lite.
Yep. As soon as we take a break, I'm gonna grab a stogie and I'm gonna grab another one.
You know we're on Twitch now. We don't actually get breaks.
Oh,
But-
oh.
Relatively so. Anyhow, okay, tonight I'm Travis Sivart. I'm the host of Talk of the Tavern, and I'm drinking Youngling Black and Tan in my Incredible Hulk pint glass in honor of him being on Thor Ragnarok that came out last weekend. Anybody see it yet?
Yes. Not yet.
Is it on
No,
Blu-ray yet?
just the clip between the two of them. I haven't seen the movie yet.
You saw
It
Thor's
is.
clip,
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
Wow.
I saw Thor's clip.
and the Hulks. Is
You
it
think the
green and
hammer's
purchased?
big?
I found Valhalla.
Oh.
And tonight I am smoking Autumn Evening in my African olive wood pipes, one in a poker and the other one in, I guess, just kind of a standard chimney
Yeah, poker, all right.
pipe talk. I can't get it in the hole to clean it out.
Whoa!
I don't want to.
Put a little hair.
Oh.
Put a little hair around it.
There's another cock. Does everybody else hear it now?
I don't hear it because I'm not listening to Twitch.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, neither am I.
Because then there's a delay.
Yeah. Now, Ian or Von Hegner, did you hear the cock crow over here on Twitch? I'm curious.
Me flashing my cash around.
That's right. You know what? I can make up for
You
that.
probably hear it when it happens, and everyone else 10 seconds later.
Probably.
Ian's just commented Kevin's cock going off. Sorry about that, mate. Duck.
Hold on. There we go. Yes, indeed. Okay, good. Kevin, your cock is working well.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. After last week's technical failure, I had to admit, as a man of my age, I was concerned. So I'm glad to see she's back and firing on all cylinders this week.
Look,
You too can play with my cock if you simply go to the shop on our Twitch page.
Yes, indeed. Look what else I got.
I need
No,
this.
and what do you got there? Dog Star vodka, and I can't read the other one. Was it black?
Trying to get the
Just stop. Did Blackheads? Is that Blackheads Point?
It is Blackbeard's Point Premium Silver
Blackbeard's
Rum.
Point. Blackheads. But I read that as Blackheads.
This
I was thinking that doesn't sound very appetizing to me.
These are from a local distillery out of Smithfield, Virginia, which I believe is on the Isle of Wight, but I could be wrong.
It's
The vodka came out in July, and it was their first product to come out. This is not coming out until January of next year.
Oh.
Nice.
And in September, Ed,
Perks
this
of
is
being
what
on the show.
Yeah. Ed, they opened up a tasting room in September. So I wouldn't mind making a road trip
We should
down
go.
there with all of us.
Kevin, start driving.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
start walking now. I don't own a car.
Need me to
I'm
ship
a
you a
blue
kayak?
Get a bike.
kind of guy.
Okay, and let's see who. Oh, yeah, I think we said hello to. Oh, Matricula's around. She's a moderator. She's around. Let's do that thing with Matricula. You know, I need to get a notepad and write down. Nope, that didn't. It was exclamation SO Matricula. Yeah, I got to write down the
That's the
command so I
one.
know what the hell I'm doing.
You got it.
There we
Yay.
go. Well, also,
I
yes.
was going to say it's her fault for the green lipstick
It is.
why?
because
It's cool.
she keeps wearing, blue, and I'm like, I need some. So I bought blue
See,
and then green
Ronnie, on
and
the
purple.
on the show that Matricula was on the other day, Andrea and Matricula were making out, and some of the green lipstick got all over Andrea's face and other stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I need some more of this."
Can I-
Yep.
Well, a simple, hey, you might want to get on Twitch right now. It's
We-
not
we
like you
tried-
don't have my number.
We tried that at 7 o'clock tonight. It didn't work out till 7:40.
I was in the middle of something. I had to finish up some work.
What? The
And it
nap
wasn't
after
bad.
masturbating?
Well, I'm an old man. I get tired.
Take a break in the middle.
It's my sleeping pill. I forgot that I had to do this.
Nice. So, does anybody have anything interesting that went on this week in their lives?
Fuck
Oh,
no.
Andrea does.
Well, I don't know if it was interesting.
Anything boring that we're just like get a good nap during?
Well, there's this movie.
Okay.
It's called
Yeah.
A Ghost Story.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Okay.
Should I go get a beer now?
You might want to. Well, we were at Redbox on Halloween, and it's like, let's get a movie. Okay, this one sounds good. It talks about a guy who dies and haunts his wife in the house and makes friends with the ghost next door. Cool, right?
And it's got Casey
No.
Affleck in it, and you're like, oh, all right, let's check it out.
Whatever. Well, it's very artsy. Like 5 minutes of someone eating a piece of pie. The meeting of the ghost next door is they both look out a window. One says hi, the other says hi, but it's only subtitles.
Yeah, they don't actually say hi. They stare at each other, and subtitles appear underneath them.
Yeah, those are the best parts of the movie.
Yeah. Oof.
Now, there's an interesting twist
I mean-
at the end that if you want, I'll tell you so you don't waste an hour and 36 minutes.
Well, it's good if they took out all the breaks in between and just condensed it to 20 minutes. Great concept, good story, but too long. Spoil it. Do the spoiler.
Okay. So, yeah, he haunts his wife. She moves out. He haunts the next people. Eventually, they tear down the house. The ghost next door disappears because her time was up. Whatever she needed to happen happened, and she's poof off to the next life or whatever. Then it
Okay.
shows them building like a skyscraper. So now he's haunting the whole skyscraper above where he was. And then the ghost gets suicidal and throws himself off of the roof.
Like you do.
Hits the ground so hard he knocked himself back into the 1800s. Not even kidding. He's in the middle of a field, and here come some pioneers, And that night they get killed by Indians, and there he sits and watches them rot over the next, however long, till his own house is, and then he's haunting himself again and the ghost of himself at the same time.
Ooh. It's a good
All
concept, and it would be good in a 20, 30-minute movie, not 5 hours.
I feel like I've aged during that description.
Just during the description of it.
Yeah, I feel like I am a ghost right now, sitting here, haunting my.
Yeah, and then
But
she's like,
on a-
let's watch the special features. Oh, thank God we watched that 5-minute, 57-second clip of him making coffee. And
It went
waiting
through the
for
whole
Hey,
process.
Don't knock that. The making of coffee can be a sacred process for some of us.
And I'm like, of all the stuff they cut out, that I feel like that was more relevant than some of the others. But on a good note, my movie came in that I ordered, Halloween Town, and Halloween Town 2.
Hey, it has a bar in
I'm
it.
very excited. Huh?
It has a bar in it.
Guess my vote then.
I saw it on
Did it come in today?
It did.
So then you can't watch it till next year.
The hell I
Right.
can't.
No, you can't. You can't. It's Halloween Town. It's a Halloween movie. You got to get ready for Thanksgiving. You should be watching Thanksgiving movies.
When I went to pick it up, as I was wearing Christmas stuff. No. Right now.
So I'm intrigued now. Come on, educate the Brit, because obviously I can associate with you guys if we're talking about like Christmas movies and stuff, but we don't do Thanksgiving. So what's a Thanksgiving movie?
Thanksgiving. Just look it up.
Yeah.
It's
There
a
aren't-
turkey.
There aren't really any Thanksgiving movies.
Yes, sir.
Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
Oh, Charlie Brown's actually, when I was growing up, The Wizard of Oz was a Thanksgiving movie.
Yes.
Because they would show it once a year at Thanksgiving.
We have stuff that and I always used to love this as a kid. On
Free Birds.
every Christmas. No, normally on either Christmas Day or Boxing Day. Bear in mind when I was a kid, and I'm a youngish kid, so I'm talking about like the very early 80s. Either on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, or New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, invariably every single year, the BBC would show Towering Inferno.
Really?
Yeah, like a Merry Christmas. Here's a film about a load of people stuck in a burning building.
I saw that in the theater when it came out.
I've no idea why. I know maybe they just got it for free from somebody, and they were like, "This will do. Bung that on. It fills a slot in the schedule over Christmas." But yeah, every year, pretty much.
Hey, Kevin. I just posted
Yeah.
an American classic Thanksgiving movie that stars Owen Wilson, Woody Harrelson, Amy Poehler, George Takei, Cole Meany, and others. So you can check that
That
out.
sounds
and
pretty
enjoy
cool.
that.
I will do. Yeah, nice. Thank you.
Danny Carey's in it. He's like Dana Carvey, but not really at all. So there you go. You can check that out. Okay. Movember. Wanted to talk about Movember. So did we all not shave in November so far?
You got a head start
No.
on me.
I went in and I had a goatee going, and I trimmed it to make sure that my beard grows in nice and even.
Very good. See, we last week discussed it, and we decided, we're going to support Movember by talking about it as opposed to trying to do a charity fundraiser. They can go to the website,
Yeah.
but we'll track it by our beards. Now, we did have the agreement that they have to start clean shaven on the 1st. Me, being of whatever background I'm of, where I don't grow hair anywhere except in places that we don't want to talk about, I don't have to shave. I get to start with what I have, and they'll still probably have bigger beards than me by the end of the month.
Mm.
So,
It's a black thing.
yeah. My Native
I'm not.
Americans.
I'm not black. Well, actually, yeah. There's.
See,
Work with
I-
me, bro. Work with me.
Neither am
all right?
I. But mine is-
No, actually, I'm Puerto Rican. So yeah,
you're the white
I don't
black.
want to say. I don't want to say there's black in me, because then I got to say like. Because then I got to go like, there's black in me. Hey,
God,
Black
where's
up.
Bob?
Mm. Brace yourselves.
But I actually have a lovely bit of fur right here. You just can't see it unless if you're like up on me.
When the light hits it just
without
right.
without the context of the visuals to go with that, that was the most disturbing sentence ever. Clip that.
Okay, I can do that. Let's see, what do we at? 8:23, right?
See, I didn't shave till this morning, so you got to hit start on me, but I'll catch up very quickly.
By the end of the show, you'll be back.
Probably.
Could be.
Lots of testosterone, man.
I've got the additional fun of for the next remainder of the month playing Russian roulette between my willingness to take part in this and continue to allow my beard to grow unkempt until the end of the month, and my wife. And I will update you on a weekly basis as to how much I'm pissing her off.
Well, you'll just blame it on us. You'll be like, it's Travis's fault.
Yeah, it's cool. She's playing along with it for now.
Those damn American bastards.
She's not happy about it, but
when she gets bad, you can tell her y'all have to come over here and give him a good talking to.
And Ed needs a spanking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever gets you guys over here. Okay, let's see. What I do this weekend? I did covered some stories where, was there anything good? Oh, we went and saw Barefoot in the Park at the local theater. Not movie, but live performance. It was actually very good. Really enjoyed it.
By Neil Simon, not Paul Simon.
No. And not by Bob and Neil. That's a different type of show.
Did you guys really think it was Paul Simon?
No, I did not.
Would have
I
been
was
cool.
a little confused.
One of the Simon brothers. That clan.
Not the Garfunkel one.
Yeah.
Are they related to that guy Simon Says?
Could be.
Uh-huh.
Let's see, what else did I do? Now, I have a story about another news story I went to cover, but I don't want to seem racially insensitive by telling the story the wrong way.
Do it.
Or maybe
So then you could have, what you
It's
should
this
do is
show.
tell the story and let Ed translate.
Okay. So this is going to just offend everybody. You're welcome. Because I am now going to use some base terminology. And anybody who's listening to the show on a regular basis, understand there's the disclaimer, and you guys know how I really feel about, equality, blah, blah, blah. So they're shutting down 2 group homes where the mentally challenged basically get out of their house and go do activities, whether it's going to the group home and sitting there playing checkers or being taken to the grocery store, movies, mall, whatever. So they had a party where 5 houses were supposed to attend, but only 4 showed up, and 2 of the 4 are being shut down. So you brought in these mentally and physically handicapped people. They're not all mentally handicapped. Some are just, physically handicapped. and it is bumping things like, just the DJ is playing things like Stanky Leg, Teach Me How to Dougie. And by the way, it was great watching them dance. This is not even mocking them. It was just great watching these folks who, some of them can barely move, but they are dancing more than most people who are, full capability. And there was like one black chick out there dancing circles around all the other people who are mentally and physically handicapped. It was great because I'm like, yeah, fucking figures. White people really can't dance because, we think, oh, well, we're too stuck up and straight-laced. No, these guys, they have none of that blocking their way, and they're just like, I can't move.
It's genetic.
But yeah, like one black chick, she's all just like, it's great.
I feel you're not doing her justice when you do her moves.
No, she probably didn't bite her lip the way I do when I dance. So
You look like one of
Twitch,
those French mime artists then, like you were stuck inside a glass box.
even mimes look at me and go, shut up. So I get to talking to the employees. And the first couple I talk to are very professional and civil. Well, then I go up to the food line, and one is like, who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm from the newspaper. I'm covering the story. What's going on? She's like, I love you. And she just threw her arms around me. I'm like, oh, great. Love you too. She's like, oh, I got to talk to you. You need to come outside with me. I'm like, oh, boy, here we go. So we've all worked with this woman. You know, that one woman who, let's see, I'm just making sure I didn't give her a card so she doesn't catch a show and track my ass down after all this. Yeah, okay, we're good. But yeah, she was that one woman, Ed. We saw him at DMV all the time. Matter of fact, who is that one nasty ass black chick I sat next to? I mean, just her whole attitude screamed, somebody hit me with a dead fish because I'm a bitch.
That was 20 years ago, man. I don't know.
I don't remember her name either.
I didn't like working in that office anyway. I didn't get to know anybody but you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. But this is one woman I one time heard her complaining about playing the lottery because even though it was $300 million, somebody else would win and they take taxes and you'd only end up with $50 or $70 million. So she's not going to play. That was her level of optimism.
Okay.
So anyhow, yeah, this woman is like, yeah, and I asked HR what's going on because we're losing our jobs, and they said that we ain't nothing but uneducated, lower-class black women. So that's how that whole thing went. And then like two more. So I had three of them around me.
Did you say in the problem with what they're saying is?
No, I went,
Oh,
I
okay.
understand that could be frustrating.
Yeah, I see.
In my whitest voice ever.
You threw the liberal card.
Sure. Let's go with that. And then they're like, we'll send you pictures of emails that they sent out. And I'm like, great. And they start sending to me. I'm like, so are these confidential or can I actually quote these? And they're like, what? Hold on, we got to go check. So they go in and they come back and they're like, you could use that one and that one, but not that one. And then I leave and I get text messages. No, don't use that one. Use only this one. Then I get another like picture of some other thing they sent, and they're like, no, don't use that one or that one, but use this and this. And then I get a voicemail. Can you call me so I could talk to you about which one to use?
No.
And I'm like,
No.
did I join a secret government agency where I'm now working for this woman? What the hell just happened here? So yeah,
Gotta love people like that.
I called her and went
Briefly.
Yeah, and didn't get a shot from the doctor so it doesn't catch. I don't even remember what the third story I covered this weekend. Must have been that exciting. Was it on Saturday? I don't know. Do you remember what it is?
Thursday?
No, Thursday was the one with the mentally and physically handicapped and the black women. Saturday, I had one before the theater. I went there alone. Oh, Christian Men United. Christian Men United is a great organization and cause. It's basically guys from a white church got together with guys. It's like, stop talking. We don't care. Do a toast.
We're late.
Here's to the people that from the beginning of civilization, if not before, who have entertained us since the beginning of time.
Hear, hear.
Cheers.
So as I was saying, okay, let's go into a song. Our first song is going to be, now who chose the Eric Clapton and Phil Collins in the air tonight? That was Ed, right?
Me.
This is Ed's choice for tonight, and it's all live performances tonight. If it's not, you guys fucked up. Not my fault. But yeah, we'll be back. Okay, so we're playing that. We've got about 6.5 minutes before we come back on. Because
I'm going to go get another beer.
Go get a beer and your cigar. Yeah, this other thing. Great concept. White church, black church. The guys get together to go out into community and help people by building like handicap ramps or fixing their bathrooms. Their pamphlet, though, the biggest neon sign for a gay club I have ever seen in my life. I get home, I'm like, I'm like, Andrea, hold on, let me just read you some of this. It's things like, and then other men come to watch us, and they had quotes around these words, check us out, before they join our group.
Check us out.
And we love being his tool to do his work. I'm just like, did they read this out loud before they put it on print?
Mm-hmm.
So, how
That's
are
funny.
you? I'm done talking. I'm not going to talk anymore tonight. Once Alfredo gets back.
Oh,
Well, I'm
he
not
left.
did we hear the front door close?
Yeah.
He's going to Waffle House.
Oh, Waffle House.
I'm looking forward to next week's show. Does anybody know any high humor, or are we just doing knock-knock jokes, limericks, and puns?
You mean highlights?
No.
I don't know what that was.
Like Bill Hicks. That kind of high humour.
Bill Hicks is highbrow?
No, highbrow is probably not a word you could attribute to Bill Hicks.
Oh, no,
I don't think he would have appreciated
High
that.
humor would be the complicated humor. And not necessarily like physicist jokes. We even scared Ed away. Ed left.
Mm.
God damn it.
Just the thought of a complicated joke.
You know, some of my favorite jokes
I'm
are the ones that take.
gonna have to be really, really careful not to cross the invisible boundaries of good taste guide for Talk of the Tavern.
Well-
I know we don't have many boundaries, but I've got it. Yeah, my sense of humour is pretty dark at times.
I want to talk to Gail ahead of the show, which everybody, if you could please make sure you're on time next week.
Yeah.
I'll be on
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Early.
Just so we can get Gail used to all of us. That's all I'm worried about is making sure she's comfortable, which she should be, because she's a very cool lady. Kevin, have you been on an episode with her yet?
No, I've not been on with her. No.
Okay. I need to get another beer. I finished that first one in first
Be a
half
good
hour.
boy.
I am breaking my biggest rule.
Masturbating on camera?
No, I've done that.
Okay.
That's not the biggest rule.
No,
I'm
smoking
Waiting for him to
in
pull
the
out
house.
like a giant wooden ruler and just snap it in half.
Oh,
Why don't you just open up the door behind you?
oh, it's open.
Oh, okay.
Just I don't normally. Oh my God, that's so tasty.
What do you got?
AJ Fernandez. H Upman by AJ Fernandez.
Oh,
Your
Alfredo.
label?
If you want, I can start sending you the deals. For example, I got 4 Camacho Carrillos for $1.
Go on.
Yeah, which I don't think it's any. You basically, I think that one was. I forget if it was Holzer. It wasn't Cigars International. I know that, but basically, you
No,
have to be-
No,
I get.
it was something else.
I get stuff. I get emails from
well,
guards and
for Cigars International 2 weeks ago, I got one of the black Herf cases, like what you tried to give me
Yeah.
that when I have enough of those, with
Right.
5 Romeo and Julieta torpedoes for $20.
Yeah, I matter of fact, I need to, or I order it with the flat top.
Yeah, I prefer the flat top, but
Yo.
this was the deal: the 5 cigars and the Herfador
Yeah.
for $20.
Oh no,
I'm
I
like,
know the
that's-
deal because
Considering they're
If you-
$7-8 cigars.
if you get the I get the catalog,
Mm.
and in the catalog there's 6 different ones that you can get for that same deal,
Gotcha.
and the flatheads are one. Matter of fact, they're
Flatheads,
just saying
I
that
like
next
them.
payday. Yeah, so do I.
But yeah, I can start sending these over or tagging you on Scoundrels when I post them or whatever.
Mhm.
There was another one that I actually wanted to. I don't know. Oh, this one was Holtz, but it was like a 10 or 15 cigar. I think it was a 10 cigar sampler for $20, and they were reasonable cigars. They weren't like generic nasty things.
Right.
They post internationally.
They might, and if not, I know places over there in Europe that we can't have them shipped to the U.S., but you can have them shipped there. And a lot of these guys, if you ever do get into the hobby and smoke regularly, they will do exchanges where they will mail you stuff from the U.S. that you're not allowed to get, and you mail them
Cool.
stuff, and they do trade-offs.
Nice.
Okay, so we got 30 seconds. We'll be back. on the radio stations as well as on Twitch. It's quiet on Twitch tonight. You guys quiet. You so quiet.
They're all lurking. You know they are. A dirty bunch of lurkers.
You dirty, dirty lurkers.
Hi there, Twitch.
That's actually a great song by Genesis, Lurker. off of what is it? Off Abacab? Yeah.
Okay, we're back and we're ready to discuss the topic now that Travis has stopped talking about what the hell he did all week. Oh, I know me. If I let me go on, I won't shut up.
Cupcakes.
Cupcakes. So, okay. Kevin,
Yeah.
why don't I just put you in charge, man? You know what you're doing. It's your passion.
Oh.
You play with it.
Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Yeah, music. Wow. You're quite right. It is my passion.
I'll get another beer.
I fucking love music. All right, you do that. I'll start talking. You just get up and leave. I like that. Welcome to Talk of the Tavern. Live music is fucking awesome. I don't care how much you get into a band by listening to an amazing album, and there is an argument to be made for that in preference. I know the kind of the flip side to tonight's show, if you like, that in the studio you can use techniques like layering and stuff like that. You can get a more polished sound. You have an engineer who's rounding everything out for you, so you get exactly what the band want to deliver in terms of their sound. But when you see a band live, especially a good band, and by a good band I'm not just necessarily talking about musically talented, but also a band that knows how to be a live band, or that grew from being a live band.
I've got a comment on this one here.
Yeah, go on.
I often say there are performers and there are entertainers. And performers go up there and perform their music. Entertainers can even be lackluster in their talent, but they bring so much to the show by engaging with the audience. It makes it a totally different show than just music.
Exactly, yeah. That's the perfect point. It can take it beyond the experience of just listening to the music,
The Brothers were that way. Am I the only one that know who they are? Really?
No.
Okay.
It's just not St. Patty's Day.
You can listen to them year round if you go to Ren fairs, right?
Yeah, no.
I'd like to throw something in on that too. What Kevin was saying. My dad was a big jazz guy. He liked everything from big band to jam jazz, and he used to say that very same thing about jazz. That's why he loved it so much, because you didn't have all the extra stuff that you have today. They just had to get on stage and play. So it was pure music.
Well, really, the thing about live music is the audience and the musicians feeding off each other, and you
Like
you really
crackers
don't see
or
it.
cupcakes.
Yeah, well, no, not like crackers or cupcakes at all, because it's.
You say that. You obviously haven't been to some of the festivals I have.
Oh no! I've been to some trust me, I've been like Johnny Cash says, I've been everywhere, man. It's but there's something where you really, really, really get to experience it is in jam band music, bluegrass music, any music that's really organic in its sense, because this is where and I listen to all genres, and I've been to all genre concerts, but when you see and the Grateful Dead is probably the greatest example of that.
Yeah,
where you get a song and it's a 3-minute song on the album, but they get in front of that audience and they start to get that energy from that audience and they give it back, and it becomes a marriage of vibes. It's a marriage of vibes, and it affects the music, and it affects the mood of the crowd. And when it is spot on, it is incredible because of the fact that music can take you on such an emotional roller coaster.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you kind of get that group consciousness almost, you know?
Right, that's exactly a good word.
false or not, you do get the feeling that you and all those other people in the audience kind of come closer together through that moment you're all experiencing between you and that musician up on stage. And it's phenomenal. It's the kind of thing that there's certain live performances now. If I'm talking with friends and we're sharing links back and forth, and I post certain concerts that I was at, I still get the old electric shiver down the spine when I'm watching the first few seconds, because that's triggering this whole assault in my mind of like all of these memories from where I was, my friends I was with in the crowd. This is what's great about live music as well, is it gives you so much more to the overall experience of the music than you get from the clean cut version of listening to an album. It's the real blood, sweat and beer, the smell of other people's staleness in a tiny little room being overheated, all those kind of the sensations you never experience sat at home with a set of headphones on.
I'll start by I'll give you one example. I saw a blues guitarist by the name of Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Oh,
Incredible guitarist. Now, mind you, as I told Kevin before, I worked in the industry. I did. First of all, having been on radio, I've interviewed a lot of artists. Having done production work, setting up concerts, taking them down, working security, working spotlights, all kind of stuff. I've been about 1,600 shows, give or take, but around that many. And at a little club in Norfolk, Virginia, I saw Kenny Wayne Shepherd. 1,500 people, sold out show. And Kenny Wayne Shepherd went into his version of the Jimi Hendrix classic Voodoo Child, Slight Return. And when I tell you, I was sitting there watching him, and then I noticed something. Absolute silence. I'm standing by the bar, and I'm looking around. Nobody is talking. Nobody is moving. Security, the bartenders, the customers, the patrons, everybody is mesmerized on that stage as Kenny Wayne Shepherd is playing Voodoo Child. And it was a moment where, if you want to talk about groupthink, everybody just projecting the energy toward Kenny Wayne Shepherd, who was capturing it and then sending it right back out to the audience through his guitar work. It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen. And it's one of those images. I can't tell you what I had for lunch today. And I could tell you the feeling of being in that venue, 1,500 people, dead silent while he was playing, because they had to capture every note that he played. That's what you get out of a live performance.
And Kevin, there's a comment on Twitch for you, sir.
Oh, is there? I'll go and check that out. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
20 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Glad to see I'm keeping on top of everything. Yeah.
I tried to signal, but I didn't want to interrupt. You guys were on a roll. Okay, Alfredo.
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
on.
Ian.
There he goes. Yeah, so Ian asked, I'm jealous of Kevin living on the Isle of Wight with their annual music fest. Closest he gets to in his area is the Van Warp Tour, which has gone down.
The Vans Warp Tour is pretty cool, though. Like a lot of tours that's been running for a long time. I think it's, and I don't know, and Ian might be able to tell you more, but I kind of got the feeling from the music press that it's got a little bit more commercial in the last few years than it used to be.
They're all going to get commercial.
It always happens, especially when you've got a festival that's been running for a long time.
Sure.
You could kind of, to a lesser extent, I'm glad to say, but you could say the same about Download Festival in this country, which is probably my favourite festival, which is what grew out of the old, the same site the old Monsters of Rock used to be on Donington. So it's kind of like the spiritual home of metal for England anyway. But that's had a tendency to be a little bit more commercialized in recent years. But at the end of the day, these things cost a fortune. The bigger they get, the bigger names you need on the bill. And when you're paying for those kinds of bands at the top end of the industry, you need massive revenue. And if you need revenue, then you need commercial support from sponsors and advertisers and people with sales pitches. And so if you want to see these bands at the price you're getting the ticket for, suck it up. They're musicians, they're artists, they don't play for free. Yes, some bands are extortionate. I'm not arguing that. And some venues have a lot more control over what they charge for tickets. But I see a lot of people whining about paying to go and see stuff. And like, oh, this much to go and see them. If you don't like paying to go and see the band, just don't go and see them. Buy the album, sit at home, put a pair of headphones on, fucking listen to it.
But yeah, the energy you get.
Spilling my pint, with some guy spilling his pint down the back of my neck, loving every minute of it.
But the energy you get from a live concert is amazing, and you can't bang for your buck. A festival is the way to go. We have one. I went to 5 of them. The Bonnaroo Music Festival, which is down in Jesus Christ, Kentucky or Tennessee or somewhere. I can't remember offhand right now. And the ticket will run you $350 American dollars. Is that a lot? Yeah, but when you're going there for 4 days, and the name of and some of the names that you see there, I went 5 years. In those 5 years, I saw Metallica, Tom Petty, Stevie Wonder, Jay-Z, David Byrne of the Talking Heads, Tool.
Oh man, yeah.
Bruce Springsteen, Fish, the Allman Brothers, 9 Inch Nails. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And again, $300. You'd pay $300 to see Paul McCartney by himself. Now, you could do that, or you could spend $300 and get a weekend full of music where you see Paul McCartney along with all these other bands.
Yeah, it's the same in this country. The festival market over here has exploded in the last 20 years from 3 or 4 majorly well-known festivals, and everything else was really small and grassroots level, to the point where now you've still got the big guys, but you've got at least 6, 7, 8, 9 other new competitors who are all becoming fairly recognizable names that, they're springing up everywhere. Everything has got fest on the end of it. Sudden.
Yep.
Ed.
Not Ian. Von Hagner just posted over on the Facebook page, old guys like me, him, went to Woodstock. That was a festival. Oh yeah, I'd have to agree. And while we're over here on the Facebook page, I'm not quite that old.
But listen,
wish I was.
Real quick, wait up before you move on. Woodstock is a festival, but what you got to remember is what's made it iconic is time.
Oh, absolutely.
Because in 1969, Jimi Hendrix and Santana and the Grateful Dead and the Who were just bands. That's all they were.
Mm-hmm.
Just like today. Today you have these bands that are just bands, and it's time and their output that makes them iconic. So, as a guy, I'm 50. So we got iconic bands today like U2. When U2 started, and I remember them starting, they were a band.
You're still just see them,
to me too. I'm not a fan of U2 today, but what I'm saying is, you're talking about.
I know what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a festival. Yeah, it was a festival, but we've got 40, almost 50 years worth of history and worth of these bands becoming iconic. And there were bands on there that didn't. Sha Na Na played.
Hey, Ronnie.
Woodstock.
Are you following along on the Twitch page at all?
No.
Okay.
No,
Ian says, I have to agree with Ronnie about blues fest and bluegrass in our area. Strasbourg Blues Fest and Jim Thorpe's Bluegrass has a very organic feel. No bad vibes at all. By the way, Ronnie, I passed on to Jen what you said about Retro Daddy-O, which is where we're broadcasting out of today, Retro Daddy-O.
Great place. Great place.
Your whole comment about it feels so natural, like you're not trying too hard just to be hip or trendy, but whether you break even and make nothing or whether you're making $1 million, it's going to be the same place no matter what. She was so flattered, man. She was like, "Oh, thank you so much." I'm like, "Well, there you go."
It's a wonderful
Just remind us again, Travis. Where is that?
That's Retro Daddy-O in Williamsburg, Virginia, on Monticello Avenue.
Worth the trip. Worth the trip. But yeah, going back again to that organic feel, there's music that's organic, okay, and you don't have to be chemically enhanced to become part of the music, though it
Mhm.
doesn't hurt. But and there's a festival for any genre of music, literally any genre that you like, from Norwegian death metal, where where you can go and see
I like that.
Metalocalypse, bands like that. Yeah,
Testament.
right. Well, Testament, bands like what is it, George Bjorn? I can never pronounce it. You know what I'm talking about. Um,
And the Swedish chef.
as I lay down, yeah, you could see bands like that. You can go to bluegrass festivals. You can go to hip hop festivals. Hell, ICP has a festival.
Yeah, right.
Insane
That's
Clown
great.
Posse. They have a
That's a good
festival.
point as well.
Yeah, Gathering of the Vibes.
Can we see
And-
Guar and ICP together? That'd be cool.
Gwar has a festival every year.
They
I
play
like
Richmond
Guar.
apparently.
They're local.
Yeah,
they're local.
They're in Richmond, and
Yeah, they're near us.
so I mean, you could, they call it the Gwarbecue.
Hey, Ronnie, we'll get them on the show. We should be able to get
My
one of them
connect,
on.
you probably got a better chance than I do. That my connection died of a heroin overdose.
Well, we can get
Oh,
him on the
man.
show. We just got to put words in his mouth.
Oof. But I mean, there's a festival for every genre of music, and again, you want to go and really get into the music that you love. It's worth a weekend. It's worth the 300 American dollars, the 450 quid, I guess would be what it would cost, or pounds.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad actually. I think the last time I went to download, including like the camping fees and stuff, all told, it cost me about 215 quid.
Oh wow! You can't beat that.
Which is about
And it's an
300
experience.
American.
Yeah, it's something that everybody should do. You want to have your Woodstock? Your Woodstock is happening this year. It's happening next year.
I think this says a lot as well about the difference between sitting at home listening to it and going and seeing it live. That every genre of music has a live festival.
Mhm.
No matter what kind of music you're into, somewhere there are a bunch of people who want to get together outside in the open air or in a building and not just listen to it, but watch people actually create this music live in front of them. And you're right, that organic's a brilliant word to use for it, because in great performers, great entertainers, to use the word Travis accurately used earlier, you see that. You can physically see them react to certain things that the crowd do and feed it back, whether it's directly because they're talking and engaging particular people, hey, you there, how you doing, man, that kind of thing, or whether it's just, picking up a particular wave of emotion, people react positively to something and they play on it. And suddenly, instead of just listening to the music, you're kind of taking part in it. It's almost like you become a bit actor in a bigger play, They're doing their thing and it's all going on, but you're kind of in the background and included in a way. You go home afterwards and you're like, I didn't just watch a gig, I was part of that.
And you become that is a great point about becoming part of it, because some of these things get recorded, and I'll give you a great example of some random audience person who became part of an incredible live performance. Elton John, Benny and the Jets. Think about at the end, Benny and the Jets, and then you hear that whistle. That was an audience member. That wasn't anybody in the band. That was somebody, the live version of Freebird. What song is it y'all want to hear? Freebird. There's these little things where you can become part of the show.
Part of history.
You can part of history.
And by the way, we're about to go into the second hour in about 2 minutes. I'll let you guys know. When we get back after This Week in History, I would love to discuss more of the shows you guys have seen personally and how you experienced that and shared it with others, how it made you want to see more or not see more in
Yeah.
certain cases. But let's wait till we get back with This Week in History. Keep going on what you're going on about now, though.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Hold on while I stop the show.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, rounding off that hour, I think that's a good point to kind of stop it. That we've now covered why we want to talk about live music in the first place.
Let's go into a song right now, then, and we'll be back.
Oh, okay.
By the way,
right, let's do that. What have we got?
If I'm not mistaken, it was chosen by Kevin. Queen One Vision, which
Oh,
was live at Wembley Stadium on Saturday, the
1986.
In July. Were you there for this, Kevin?
No, I wasn't there. I was 10.
You could have been there, though. It's very question,
potentially, I could have been. No, I was at the venue and have a great affection for it in my later years because I worked security at Wembley Stadium for a few years.
And by the way,
that's a whole other story.
All in all, I love the message of this song. So let's go into this song, come back with This Week in History. Everybody on Twitch, you're stuck with us. You don't get the music. Okay, so we've got that rolling, and now it is almost a 5-minute tune, so we have about 5 minutes, including the extra interstitials and whatnot. So,
I'm going to be highly unpatriotic and go and take a pee break during my country's tune.
Oh, are they French?
I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm looking at This Week in History.
Everybody talks at once.
I'm looking at This Week in History.
Oh, I have a thing. I just can't open all of this stuff or it'll crash.
Are you doing okay, though?
Yeah. I just have Twitch open and Skype.
You seeing the difference?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is great.
Ronnie?
AT&T is awesome.
Yes, sir.
I just got an email. Are you into Diesel's cigars?
Yes.
They
I like Diesels.
They got a 20 for $50.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's something you're into, if you have the money in the bank. Okay, Andrea. But there you go. If anybody listening on Twitch is interested, let me know, and I'll drop you the link. It's a 24-hour deal, 20 Diesel cigars. Looks like there's 4 different kinds for $50, which is a great price. Diesels for me are hit or miss. There's 1 or 2 that are really good, and the rest are eh.
Yeah, I mean, they're okay. It's not a go-to cigar for me, but 20 for 50,
See,
that might be. I might drop that.
It's something I've enjoyed lately is having a little more of a budget. I have picked up a few boxes of some really good cigars. For example, La Gloria Cubana Serie R Black, and they're the Gordo, so they're like 60 ring gauge. Obsidian, which is not that great of a cigar, but all in all, I found that's a good everyday cigar. And then, of course, picking up, the sampler packs when you catch them on the right sale, or like the, 4 Camacho Criollos for, $1. You can't beat that because they're an $8 cigar. Oh, and free shipping on that, too. If we get enough cigar smokers listening to the show, there'll be a segment of the show where we just share the deals of the week. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not missing anything over here. No, just an email. Good. Yeah, for all you guys on Twitch, I broadcast from Retro Daddy, if you didn't know, because my internet at home is so bad. And we had Verizon, which we were using our phones and other devices as hotspots, and still had crap internet. We switched to AT&T, so much better. Not good enough to run the show off of, but still, at least Andrea could be at home joining in the show instead of having to travel.
I had the novel experience of actually being able to talk to you on Skype whilst you were in your own house.
Mm-hmm. And Ed, I can actually make a phone call to you while at home now, without having to put my phone in a window and stay within so many feet of it. So sorry, Ed. You might actually have your phone ring more often from me now.
Okay.
Take that, Ed. That's what you get.
How's your floors, bud?
Not fast enough.
Okay. You make some progress, though, slow and steady, turtle guy?
Yeah.
It's something that's an ongoing saga. I think everybody listening on Twitch is familiar with that saga.
Yeah. Morally, I support Ed's struggle against his flooring, but I kind of lost interest once I found out he'd finished doing the bar. So.
He hasn't.
Well,
You not finished the bar?
I haven't finished the bar.
That's the last
I got
part.
about 1/3 to go.
Surely that should have been a priority.
By the way, AT&T...
So is it just like, have you got like 2/3 new flooring and 1/3 old? Or is there one? Yeah.
AT&T is great phone service. Some of the worst customer service I have ever encountered, though. That's a story I could have taken 20 minutes alone to tell you guys about the bullshit I've gone through in the first week alone.
You don't live in England.
Is it bad or good? Where you going?
Oh man, it's not that it's good or bad necessarily. It's just that generally it's very bureaucratically, unnecessarily long-winded. You're always saying about how we're insufferably polite about everything. We apologise for everything. As I'm terribly sorry, I'm going to need a few more details from you.
And we're coming back. Okay, Ed, what happened this week in history?
Shit happened, y'all, as
baby.
always.
Yeah, man.
I think this is what Ian was alluding to in his November He's Drinking Pipe Bomb in celebration of November 5th. On this day, however, November 6, 1605, it all almost fell down and went boom. King James I of England would learn of the gunpowder plot. The plot was conceived by Guy Fawkes and Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. At least that's the way it was on the TV show. The plan was
only one.
The plan was to blow up the Protestant English Parliament and replace it with a Catholic Parliament. The plan was foiled, and Guy was caught on January 31st of 1606. He was headed up the ladder to the execution platform to be drawn and quartered. He decided, fuck this. He jumped and broke his own neck and ended his own life.
So they put him on a platform to draw and quarter people? I guess they laid him down.
It's probably a stage.
Probably.
It's probably what it was. And he had to climb up there. And,
Was he wearing that mask?
He wouldn't have been. The executioner probably.
Oh.
Well, he might have worn the mask previously. Now, Kevin, does that mask in V for Vendetta, does that actually have any historical context?
Only the mustache.
Okay.
And most pictorial references to Guy Fawkes show him having a long curled black moustache of some form. So that part of it, in a sense, is historical, but that's it. Yeah.
These mustaches, they make us rabble rousers. Okay, what else, Ed?
Okay, November 11th, 1978. Just some good old boys. We kind of talked about these guys a couple of weeks ago. The General Lee makes its TV debut on the Dukes of Hazzard. The show ran from 1978 to 1986.
Loved it when I was a kid. Absolutely annoyed the shit out of my dad one year, asking him for the Dukes of Hazzard.
We used to ask to get into the car to play it. We didn't want keys. We didn't want to drive the car. We were like 8 years old wanting to play Dukes of Hazzard in the car and climb in the window.
There's like a whole generation of fathers having their paint on their cars scuffed around the top edge of their windows.
Looks like them Duke boys. Looks like them Duke boys are up to no good again.
What else? Go on that.
The 1969 orange Dodge Charger, known as the General Lee, would receive over 35,000 fan letters a month during the run of the show.
The car,
yeah.
Do people realize that the car couldn't read the fan?
Well, Herbie was able to read
There was no Knight Rider card.
That's true.
General Lee, I love you.
I love you.
I can't believe how fast you go, General Lee. If you ever come through my town, I would love to get an ink spot or oil spot from you, General Lee, because I love you.
He's quoting his letter to the car.
Wow.
Go on, Ed.
Tell Daisy I said hi.
I like her dukes.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder how many letters Daisy Duke was getting.
Yeah, no
Well, her
shit.
shorts probably got a lot.
Yeah.
Even though there were over 300 cars used to represent the General Lee during the show, the first one that appeared on camera in the first show is the only car that appeared in every episode of the show.
Now,
It's pretty cool.
Huh.
as much as I liked that as a kid, now as an adult, I'm like, eh. But I did enjoy the movie remake. But I never, and Ed, help me out with this one, or who, any of you guys, I didn't ever feel the show was racist in any way. Am I just
Not at all.
not remembering? Okay.
My parents watched it. I mean, our whole family watched it. You know, black kids out in the neighborhood that I grew up in, the next day we're out there playing Dukes of Hazzard.
We were watching that in the Bronx.
We didn't care about no damn flag on the car. We was just
No.
wondering how they was going to get over on Boss Hog the next
Exactly.
episode.
And we
It wasn't
and-
racist until now.
Right.
So
yeah,
recent.
it was a great show, which was one of the first shows to ever give me that twitch in my pants when I was a youngin'. That
Okay.
I didn't know every time Daisy Duke got there why my pants were acting all funny.
Do you need us to explain it to you now?
I mean, I've only been waiting 30 years for an answer, so yeah, sure, please.
Well, she wasn't all that hot anyway.
Get the are you insane?
No,
That
no, totally true.
that woman was fucking on fire.
Fine. Jammin just posted a picture of him with the General Lee.
Nice.
Cool.
Of course he did.
Ian said, "Hey, did you guys know President Trump is a McLeod through his mother?"
Well, thank
Okay.
God there's only one.
I did not know this.
I always wish that my last name was McLeod, just so I could say that.
You could change it.
I'm Alfredo McLeod from the clan
There you
McLeod.
Can you say it in that
There can be
accent
only
that
one.
came from like 15 different places?
I could say it like a New Yorker.
Was the greatest accent of all time, yeah.
Yeah, because he wasn't Scottish. He was Scandinavian of some sort, wasn't he? It still is, I guess.
Yeah.
The guy who
Yeah, that
I
none
don't
of us remember his name right now.
Christopher Lambert.
Thank you.
that's it.
That was Connor McLeod from the original movie. Duncan McLeod was in the TV
That's
show.
true. And Duncan,
Mm.
God, he was a heartthrob for the ladies and some of the boys.
Oh, he had the guy with the long black curly hair.
Yeah, yeah.
He was
Yeah.
the
What was
first.
his name?
He was the
Yeah.
first guy who got my pants twitched. I mean, nothing.
God damn
But
Okay, what else we got this week in history?
all right, I had no current events unless somebody else has some. I'm gonna move on to weird news.
There was a lot of stuff
Okay.
that went on, but I didn't mark it down. What do you got, Andrea? Andrea's got
All
some.
right, I put a link up in Twitch. Okay, there's a French seaside resort. It has an oyster vending machine.
Oh, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, apparently it is. Tony Burset, I think is his name. It's right next to his oyster farm. The vending machines are right next to his oyster farm. It's at a resort. It's his attempt to keep up with the internet generation, and people are raving about it. And it's a refrigerated vending machine, so it's okay.
Okay.
It's a little weird,
Now,
but you know.
are any of us oyster fans?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
All the way.
would you buy them out of a vending machine?
No.
No.
Okay.
Fuck no.
By the way, Andrea and I have met like the woman who has been like the fastest shucker. She's local to us here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's like
Oh, she's
76 years
great.
old, been doing it for 50 years. Her mother and her brother and her sister were all shuckers. The only one in her family that wasn't was her father, who, worked a real job, I guess. I don't know.
I bet her hands.
Let me tell you something.
are-
Just because a woman has been doing something for 50 years doesn't mean I want her doing it around me.
Mm.
Just saying, I don't care how good she is. It can't
Mom.
look pretty.
Stop
It just
shutting
can't-
when I'm in the room. Oh, my God.
Oh no, Mark! Oh my God, your wrinkly hands all over that. Oh God, no.
Oh, shucks.
I think y'all are talking about two different things there.
I think we're talking about the same thing. Just everybody else is talking. So what else?
Yeah.
You got some weird news, Ed?
Yeah, I got some weird news. Flying high on a feeling. Last weekend, two strangers aboard a Delta Airlines flight are arrested for joining the Mile High Club. Of strangers, they did not know one another when they boarded the flight. Alfredo's
They know
clapping.
each other now.
You know, there is a new TV series coming out, which is made by the same people who make Modern Family. And in the commercial, they have a scene of
Oh,
two people in the airplane bathroom doing this. So I'm wondering if that inspired them.
no, it's a movie.
No,
I think it's a
I'm pretty
movie.
sure it's a TV series. Yeah, it's like
Is
L.A.
it?
to Vegas or something.
My thing is, who cares? Who cares? Let them fuck. Let them fuck. Can we
Well,
say
wait
that?
a minute.
Can we say that? Can
Wait
we?
a minute.
But wait.
A 48-year-old woman, 28-year-old man flying on the Delta Airlines flight into Detroit suddenly decided that love was in the air. She was caught giving him a blowjob. They didn't just.
So were they
No harm, no foul.
So
they in the bathroom or
he
were
did
they in
not
the
have
seats?
sex with that woman. Okay.
I mean, I can't say I've flown an awful lot of times, but I've done some flying in my life, and I find it difficult enough to find room to use the bathroom for the purpose it was designed for. You know,
You
I'm
know what?
6'8".
I don't know that they were in the
tall.
bathroom.
They might have been
I
in
got.
the seats.
Oh, I got.
Yeah.
I got to agree with
Oh,
Kevin.
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Well,
6'8" tall, but I'm 6'8" wide. So so I can't
I hear
sit
you.
down. I can't. I
hear you.
gotta mansplain
Mhm.
when I sit down
So-
because I don't want to crush anything.
It-
So,
If I'm tweeting about something exciting I've managed to do with a plain bathroom, it's managing to get the door shut and locked.
I managed to actually go, not on myself.
Okay, go on, Ed. On that note,
I
take over.
knew I
Ed.
wouldn't be able to get through this one. I knew it. Anyway, they were issued
Not if I
citations.
have anything to say about it, you won't.
They were issued citations, and the case was turned over to the FBI. Apparently, they could be facing felony charges.
Of what?
Didn't say.
Terrorism?
No.
Just presumably
all
something
this-
under interrupting aviation or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe he was carrying a concealed weapon on board. You get? Am I right? Am
He
I
wasn't.
right?
In August, a couple aboard a Southwest flight from Atlanta to Las Vegas were arrested after they were reported multiple times for having sex in mid-flight. They were quoted as saying that they just couldn't control themselves. That couple was not charged. They were just released by the police later on.
They were high five. Is what they were.
So
Any cool person who catches anybody in any authority position that catches people having sex should not arrest them. You high five as long as they're not doing it around children. You high five them. You give the guy a thumbs up. You give the girl that you naughty minx look, and you send them on their way.
So they
That's
had-
what you do.
So you
What is that look again there, Alfredo?
You naughty.
So
You
they-
know what you were doing, you naughty girl.
they had multiple releases, not just the last one.
Yeah.
He had multiple releases.
Apparently.
The only interview that he should have gotten was, dude, how do you go more than once? Because at this point in my life, that's why I didn't do anything for the show. I wouldn't be on here.
Okay. Moving on. Next story. Speaking of love being in the air, Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy, Daddy, Dumbass, or whatever the fuck it is, just wants to be loved. Okay? The man just wants to be loved. Once again, Puffy has changed his name. This time he has changed it to Love. However, he says he will also answer to Brother Love.
Do you got to say it like Brother Love?
No.
Like it's something that's only discussed deep in the woods.
Just no.
Brother Love?
Oh, gosh. Deaths. Last week I wasn't on the show, so I'm not sure if you guys already did this.
We did
Fats Domino, October 24th, passed away.
That one hurt.
Yeah, that one really hurt. Way lesser known, although I'm sure Alfredo may know him. October 29th, Keith Wilder of the band Heatwave from back in the disco days.
That's right. Always and Forever was that was
Always and Forever, baby.
that was everybody's
That
prom
was
song
the slow get
from
me some booty jam.
from 79 to 83. That was everybody's prom song. There was nothing that could touch that song.
Mm-hmm.
No Barry White out there to play with it?
I'm sorry?
No Barry White out there to compete with it?
No. This is the late 70s. Barry White owned the early 70s.
I thought he still owned it.
I don't know. That would depend on an age thing. At my age, Ed's age, that's always and Forever by Heat Wave, and and the other one was I Can't Get I Wanna Get Next to You by Rose Royce. Those were the two jams. Those were the two jams.
Okay, birthdays.
Birthdays.
That's what we call baby making music right there.
Birthdays. November 5th, 1959. Singer Bryan Adams. Excuse me.
He had one song, right?
Yeah, one or two. Yeah.
As far as the UK are concerned, he had one song. You know about the popularity of that over here.
The one from Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Anything I do, I'll do it for you. Yeah.
It would have been better if it was sang as a duet by Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman.
Was it in your music charts for a long time?
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
Because it was number one here constantly for something ridiculous. I mean, you could probably go and Google it, but if my memory serves me, like 4.5 months.
Oh wow!
It held the number one spot.
Oh,
it
by
was
the way,
ridiculous. Everywhere you went that summer, you fucking heard that.
By the way,
song.
Thank you to Night Owl Creations for the bits. And Ian says Brother Love was a very white wrestling manager from WWF.
Yes, he was.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I love you.
He was.
That's what he used to say. I love you.
Okay, Ed. Who else has
So
birthdays?
now P. Diddy wants to be that
November
guy?
6th, 1948. Rocker Glenn Fry of the Eagles.
Yeah, man.
He passed away this year.
Last year, 2016. Yeah.
Yeah,
last year.
Yeah. November 8th. November 8th, 1847, novelist Bram Stoker. I thought that was appropriate for, we just come out of Halloween.
Yeah, and he died that year, too.
Yeah, sure.
Again.
November 9th, 1941, rocker Tom Fogerty of Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh, another amazing band.
Yep, he's dead, too.
Yeah. No.
Tom Fogerty's dead.
They didn't have a death date when I looked him up today.
No, he's dead.
Okay.
That's why you'll never see CCR back together.
Are you Googling, Travis?
I am. Yeah, died 1990, September 6th, in Scottsdale, Arizona. No ham sandwich involved.
It was a big deal because John and Tom got into a fight, and John left the band. Tom kept the band going. With, I believe it was called CCR Clearance Clearwater Revisited.
Yeah.
Until he died, and they never made up before he died.
Gotcha.
Okay, quick, real personal birthday shout outs here. I missed a couple last week. Mike Morgan, Alan Grimm. Yesterday, Janet Miller. Today, a schoolmate of mine, Lorraine Foster. And tomorrow, my sister Brenda. And the big one this week, November 10th, 1775, my Marine Corps came alive. Happy birthday, Jarheads.
Now, Ed, do you want to do one more since you won't be on next week's show?
I'm going to be here.
We'll miss you.
Oh, are you? I thought you were camping next weekend.
Monday night, no.
Oh, okay, cool. Never mind then. Moving
Yeah.
on.
Well, real quick, I'd like to say happy birthday to my son, Ryan, whose birthday was last Saturday. The big 1-2 last year before he becomes a teenager. And I also want to say happy Veterans Day this Saturday for all of our veterans out there. Anybody who's listening who served, thank you for your service.
Kevin, you got any?
No, nothing.
Andrea?
They go
got
short to the
nothing.
point. Fuck you, nothing.
This Friday, I got two coming up. Betty Ordano of Nerdvana and also TJ Navarro, who I met at Contemporary in North Carolina. I believe Jamin knows him. He used to listen on a regular basis, but we don't see him no more. So that's all we got for this week. Are we good to go into a song and come back with the rest of the show?
Absolutely. What do we got next?
Next,
I'm annoyed tonight because it's one of the first weeks for ages where I'm like, I'm pissed off that I can't go and listen to the music in the breaks.
I might burn CDs of our playlist tonight and just send it out to everyone, including those extra songs I mentioned that I couldn't
those
squeeze
extra
in.
shit we had to, we couldn't get in.
Yeah. Okay, next I believe it is Ronnie's choice of Genesis with "Turn It On Again."
Oh,
nice.
You want to give a little information about the song or the concert this was played at?
This was recorded on the album 3 Sides Live, which was Genesis' first live album after Peter Gabriel had left. And so Genesis famously changed themselves from a huge prog rock band to a little bit more radio friendly. And it comes across on this album. And this one, this particular song, Turn It On Again, I believe is off Abacab, I believe. And it's just incredible energy on it.
Okay, here it comes, guys. Okay, and it is, like all the live songs, a little longer. So we got 5 minutes if anybody needs to step away for a minute or two of that.
Hey, question.
Yeah, might be off.
Do you still have it set up so that every so often they put it shows in the chat to go subscribe or whatever?
Yes.
Because I haven't been paying attention. I haven't seen it.
I saw one pop up, but I haven't seen all the others, so I'm watching for them. And I might have to go change it up because I have it also set up so it only posts so many lines, and it might be too many lines. We don't have 25 posts between the things, so I might need to knock that down to 5 or 10 or something.
And when we come back, I need to correct myself. It's off of Duke, not Abacab.
Well, you could correct yourself here on Twitch, where most of our listeners are anyway.
Oh. Yes, it's if you guys are looking for it on the recorded version, it's on the album Duke, not Abacab.
There we go.
Instantly, in case anyone thinks I forgot them, I did have those 2 pretty important birthdays this week. I just don't want to shout them out on air because obviously both my kids.
There we go.
I'll have a shout out next week.
They've managed to survive another year without me killing either of them. Well done to them.
Well, at least you got to add that last part, right?
Yeah.
Without you killing
15. They're 15 and 16 now.
Oh, my son's my daughter's 19. My oldest son's 17.
I feel it. Man. I feel the pain.
Oh, and let me tell you, my daughter has decided she wanted to friend me on Facebook. Oh, I'm regretting it.
It's the other reason I didn't want to mention the kids, because I have so far managed to keep the kids are vaguely aware that I do something with internet radio.
Right.
Which is fine for me. Because if they ever discover Talk of the Tavern, and they will, and that's fine by me when it happens, because to be honest, I consider both of them mature enough now. But I'm in no rush to encourage them to discover some of the stuff we've chatted about in the past. And they will find eventually the archives. And if they choose to, which they probably won't, they'll probably be bored as fuck. But if they choose to, they could listen and they'll probably hear me say some quite horrendous shit. My
biggest fear is for my children to find out some of the topics we talked about when I was on the radio. Such as when I had sex with my 100th partner, and the guys interviewed me as if I had hit like my 3,000th hit, or had won my 300th game.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It was one of those kind of like Sports Center moment.
I've got one blog post out there I'm like, if the kids ever find that, there could be an awkward conversation.
I'm happy to say I'm an amateur on this, and as far as I recall, there have only been one.
What, partner? You and Andrea the whole time? God bless you guys. That's awesome.
My son from my ex-wife is strictly a fluke. It's a miracle.
It happens. There was absolutely no penetration.
She walked past an open window at the wrong moment.
I thought really hard and had a wooden puppet. And now he's a real boy.
Show me on the public where she touched you.
Wow.
I never penetrated her.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
With that woman.
You either had sex or a relation, not both at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all are horrible.
Yeah, a little bit.
What'd I say wrong? My only one.
I know that's a lie. But that's okay.
No, the video's never survived. I don't know what you're talking about.
Plausible deniability.
I got the copies if you ever need them back.
Not if with you. That doesn't count.
Oh, well, of course.
Jeez.
Only had one female partner.
Animals are sexless, right?
Hey.
It sounds bad when you say it that way.
That's right. That geometry teacher doesn't count for anything.
Hey.
I think I have to leave now.
And we're coming back in 15 seconds.
Alrighty.
And I think everybody has left Twitch.
I remember when when my geometry told me to pull out my penis. She said, "That's not a straight line." I said, "No, it curves. It's one."
And we're back. That was Genesis. So, you guys want to talk a little bit about the concerts that you guys have attended? Your favorites? The worst?
I've got Ed.
Are you muted?
No, he was swallowing.
Some of the listeners named some good shit here. I'd like to go over those real quick first.
Yeah, go for it.
And this is where I kind of figured out that Von Hegner had some age, man. Jefferson Airplane, Stony Brook University, 1969, live with fireworks.
Wow.
That would have been a good show. And so, yeah, when he mentioned Woodstock, okay, I was like, okay, he was old enough to be there. Wish I was. Josh Bartholomew, Queen, live at Wembley, and I believe we have a song coming up later.
We've had it.
Yeah,
already had it.
Yeah.
Already had it. Okay.
And that's my buddy from Outback. He's a really good artist.
They had to interject briefly on that. They had the two best performances of their career back to back in those 2 years. As an entire concert, Wembley 1986, and you can find that easily through YouTube if you want to go and check some of that out. In fact, I might even post a link up from one in a minute.
Okay, cool.
It's widely regarded by fans of Queen as their finest live performance in terms of every single song from start to finish was polished perfection. Mercury was absolutely on the ball in terms of being the consummate showman that he was. He played the crowd like an extra instrument of that band.
Oh, wow.
The audience were, always were with Queen gigs as much, you've all heard the "oh" and the crowd doing it back. It goes beyond that with him. Mercury lived to get up on a stage in front of people and perform. He was that classic extreme blend of incredibly introverted and shy in his private life and just this huge explosive personality on stage that was just so immense that you kind of couldn't he was like something that people gravitated around. You couldn't help but be drawn in and almost forced to take part in this kind of collective gathering around him almost. And so Wembley 86 was the concert, but you've also got Live Aid. Now, obviously, like a lot of bands, Queen only played a short set that day because obviously, they were making a groundbreaking event that day with this, huge live broadcast of all of these bands on the same bill before. And it kind of set a benchmark almost for that sort of festival vibe of multi-band performance. Mm-hmm. And nearly every band that performed that day have at some point or another in interviews or on tape since then admitted that Queen just stepped up and blew every other band off the stage that day.
Now, just to remind you that, to show you how impressive that was, you had Led Zeppelin uniting for the first time after John Bonham's death.
After John Bonham. I had tickets to that show, and he passed away. Yeah.
Dude.
Von Hagner, again, Chet Atkins, and Les Paul. Bottom Line, New York, July 78.
That's two serious amounts of talent coming together
Oh,
there.
but wait, there's more. Von Hagner again, B.B. King and Stevie Ray Vaughan, New Orleans,
Oh,
1988.
Stevie Ray Vaughan is probably one of my favorite guitarists of all time, and I never got to see him. Oh.
Yeah. And Ian posted as a live performance. I don't think Ian was there because I think Ian's like my age, but Jimi Hendrix playing the Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we got so far.
Okay.
Oh no, Victoria. She saw Phil Collins, Genesis and Phil Collins, or Phil Collins, No Jacket Required tour.
Nice.
That was her first concert.
Nice.
There's a question for everyone then. What was your first ever live gig? And I'm talking like, not necessarily like a garage band or a local band, but the first sort of band where you went and bought a ticket to go and see someone recognizable.
Jethro Tull.
Really?
No.
Yeah. And my second was Metallica.
Really?
1977 Parliament Funkadelic, The Return of the Mothership.
Ooh.
Andrea?
Mine was.
Well, let Andrea go. You'll have a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
bunch of first times. Andrea?
Oh, my first one? I don't remember my first.
Oh, good for
What?
you.
That bad, huh?
Some of the good ones, White Zombie Pantera,
Ooh.
before White Zombie split. That was good.
Nice.
That was one of my first, I guess.
My first was Kiss in Madison Square Garden. It was animalized. It was after they took off the makeup, but it was still the epitome of a rock and roll show. My second,
That's way to break your duck.
oh yeah, my second was Lionel Richie in Madison Square Garden,
Oh, nice.
dancing on the Stealing tour with Sheila E. opening up for her.
Mine was 1992 Portsmouth Guildhall, the Black Crows.
Oh wow!
Nice.
That was an awesome gig. So that was one of those amazing moments as well, because I was like 16 years old, and it's the first time I'd kind of traveled off the island without my parents to go unsupervised to a concert on my own. It's only just across the water from the island where I live. It's literally in the first city across the water. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, they were absolutely on form that night, just really relaxed and having fun with it. And the brothers were a great coupling. They're a fantastic band, and live, they've always had this sort of tendency to be quite fluid with the structure of their songs. So it's great because you're kind of almost getting like a reworking or a new version of an old recognizable tune that you're familiar with from the albums or whatever. So yeah, that really opened my eyes up to go into live concerts. So that's kind of always had this special memory in my head of being quite an important moment. There was this strange smell coming from a lot of the adult people.
You know what? We had the
as
same.
well.
I think we had the same strange smell.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, almost like this odd funk that followed them around. I guess maybe it's just the smell of being on the road. I don't know.
It could be.
By the way, Von Hagner says the mothers of invention of the electric circus, New York City, 1968.
Get the hell out of here. Wow.
I remember getting a stitch once from watching a video my friend had of Zappa doing a sketch on stage where the Pope had just come out and given a statement denouncing birth control pills. And he came on dressed as a Mexican Pope with a plastic bucket full of M&Ms, which it was labeled birth control pills, and started flinging handfuls of them into the audience.
I think that was my mother's
Okay.
birth control that she used.
Damn it, it was just an M&M. Travis, she was supposed to be a chocolate.
She got the poor kind. She got the WWs.
I'll mention. Oh, go ahead, Alfredo.
I was gonna say, well, she got them at half price, so I mean, you can't beat that.
Nowadays, kids look at them and they go, "There are three backwards."
Oh.
Go ahead, Ed. What were you going to say?
Great performances. I didn't get to see it. It was done live. I've seen the video 100 times because I love both of them. We played the song earlier tonight. Eric Clapton and Phil Collins on stage together. I would have given anything to see that. However, when they did the Eric Clapton and Friends, they only did like 3 to 6 shows in England. I believe that's all it was. The next year they did the August tour, but they didn't play the same set, so it wouldn't have been the same thing. But man, I would have loved to have been there to see that. They're just great to me. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I was just going to say, I saw Clapton, probably 94 or 5. He did a whole month of nights at the Royal Albert Hall. My friend's dad worked there, and so we managed to blag a pair of tickets for the last night, where he had they had like about 45-minute session where there's different famous friends of his kind of drifted on and off the stage and they played stuff together. But yeah, I mean, in terms of performances, not necessarily so much for the music, but one of those moments where you realise somebody's kind of like top of their game. He was in the middle of playing Badge, and he snapped the high E string on his guitar. So he just kind of turned and made this little beckoning motion to his guitar tech at the side of the stage, and he carried on playing the tune and just kind of switched it up so he didn't need to use that string. Kept playing. The guitar tech's come on stage behind him, fiddled for a second, and he's lengthened the guitar strap, so Clapton's now kind of playing it like he's, in an 80s hair metal band down near his knees kind of thing. Brought on an identical strap, hung it around his neck so it's hung above the first one, plugged it all in, checked all the levels are set right, and then on a nod to say that he's ready, Clapton's hit one note on the broken guitar and just jumped straight up and kept playing on the new one, at which point the tech's undone the strap and fucked off with the broken guitar. So he literally switched guitars mid-song without missing a note.
You know who I would have liked to see? Tommy Emmanuel. And if any of the viewers have never heard him, go look him up on YouTube. Incredible guitar player.
I just this year I've been hitting a lot of bucket lists this year. So bands that I've wanted to see. I saw Depeche Mode, who I'm a huge fan of.
Nice.
I saw Iron Maiden, who I'm a huge fan of.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God!
Yeah, you better hit this bucket list before they kick the bucket.
Well, as a matter of fact, next Sunday I'll be down in Norfolk to see Ringo Starr.
Nice.
So Beatle,
I saw him in
list.
Caveman. He was good.
Yeah,
that was great.
I got to see Roger Waters this year.
One of my favorite ever live music moments is a Maiden moment.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna, and there's a YouTube video of it, so I'm gonna go and snag it now and post it.
Were you there for it?
Yeah, I was. I'm about 5 rows back, right down in the front left. But I've watched this video so many times. If I was on there, I'd know you could see me. But
well, go ahead. I'm sorry. Seeing Maiden, I was a huge Maiden fan in the 80s when Peace of Mind came out. That was the first. Now, mind you, I'm a little Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx, so we didn't hear a lot of it.
It's 2007, the one I'm posting up. It was Download Festival, which is like a big metal festival here in the UK every summer.
But when I tell you, again, MTV used to play a song called "The Flight of Icarus."
Yeah, it's a great in that.
Right, yeah. So I went out, bought Peace of Mind for that one song, and just got turned on to Maiden. And I'd never gotten to see him, and I got to see him this year. And when I tell you, Bruce Dickinson sounds like he recorded that album yesterday. I mean, the band is about as tight today as it would have been back in the 80s. Bruce Dickinson still hits all those notes solid, hasn't lost a step.
No, he's got a hell of a pipes on him, that boy.
Let me ask you guys, before we go into the next song in 4 minutes, do you think concerts today are as good?
Yeah, I think so. I think at the end of the day, I mean, the exterior shell of concerts has changed a bit in terms of like the marketing and the way they're pushed, and like we said earlier about the kind of push towards more sort of festival-based events with bands sharing bills and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, with a live music performance, it's not the venue that makes it. It's not even the audience that come necessarily. It's just one of those magic moments where you catch those performers on peak. If you're a sports fan, your team don't do well every week. But some weeks, they just have an amazing game. You know, the kind of game that goes down in your club's legend, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Who was it that was in the UK, a female performer, maybe Adele, who had a bee on her in the middle of her concert?
Yeah, it was a bug. Yeah,
and the way she handled
I think it was Adele.
Yeah, and the way she handled it was
Adele.
just great, adorable. And I don't know what you think of her music or not, but as a performer, to react that way and not storm off or be upset.
Here's my view of a concert. You know, an old guy like me could sit there and say it's not the same. But, and you know, a person who's my age 30 years ago would say concerts were not the same. At the end of the day, it's about the connection that you have with the band. And that's what's going to make the concert. I've seen people who come out. I saw Rush back in 2007. You know what? It was 3 guys on stage, and it was amazing. I've seen the Flaming Lips. That if you've ever heard of them, they do an incredible visual show. Also amazing. I've seen Primus, another visual show, also amazing. I've seen Steve Winwood. It was him and a piano. Amazing.
So it's incredible. Yeah.
I'd like to see Billy Joel.
I saw Elton John, one of my top 5 shows of all time. Elton John at the Richmond Coliseum. It was him and a piano. He had his band. And I'll tell you what, he played every song that I ever wanted to hear him play. And the connection that he had with that audience was amazing.
Have any of you ever seen Madonna live? I heard she puts on a great show.
I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Would you go if you could? Is there anybody here?
No, I've never been mad on her.
Today, no. I probably would have went during her Truth or Dare.
90s? Yeah.
I mean, is she still performing?
I don't think so.
Yes, she is.
Is she? Oh, okay.
Is she?
Yes, she just had she just did a live tour last year, world tour, and it didn't do as well. But yeah, she's still out there.
It's okay. Now, on that note, let's go ahead and go into Andrea's choice tonight, which is 9 Inch Nails, Somewhat Damaged. So,
Nice.
Andrea, you got anything to say about this?
It's awesome. I've never actually been able to go to a 9 Inch Nails show.
Oh,
I'd like to.
Another
I
one.
got 9 inches, I'll nail you.
I've seen them 4 times. Amazing.
I've seen Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They were great.
I would like to see them.
Yeah, let's go into this song. We'll talk about it more when we get back.
Cool.
Okay, now, you guys talk about whatever you want. I'll be back in just a moment, okay?
No worries.
Time is probably like 5 minutes. 4.5.
Okay. All right.
So.
I got to see 9 Inch Nails when they originally did their, We're Done tour, and their last show was at Bonnaroo. And this was, 2009, 2010. And incredible. And
my friend, literally about a week ago, and apologies to anybody listening if you are deeply religious, sent me a meme that was a picture of Christ on the cross with the caption, was into 9 Inch Nails before it was cool.
Oh.
I'm gonna mute myself for a moment while I eat a jammy Dodger.
Oh!
Nice.
I'll tell you, Ed, I think you would enjoy this. I got to see Johnny Lee Hooker and Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, no way.
In 1989, 88 at a Blues Fest.
Wow.
Oh, stop it, Kev. Now you're just being an asshole.
No, he's English. He's being a cunt.
He's being an arsehole. Oh my God, to see Johnny Lee Hooker.
I would love to.
That was I'm lucky. I've gotten to see some of the class. I saw him. I saw B.B. King. I've seen Willie Nelson. I got to see Merle Haggard before he passed away. I got to see Chris Christopherson.
You know who I'd love to see? On that theme? Buddy Guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's another great example of a musician who plays the crowd, has fun with people. Yeah.
If you want to see somebody along those lines, Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah.
Oh my! I saw him this year for the first time and just blew me away. His guitar ability.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Robert Randolph, another guy.
I'm going to celebrate that with another Jammy Dodger.
See, you're just being a dick.
When we get back, I would like to discuss some of the worst concerts we've seen.
I have the worst.
Okay.
The worst. Oh, my God.
We'll hit it when we get back, and I'll start because I've only got one, and again, I'm sure you guys have more than I have. So.
I'm so glad.
I have one.
I'm glad you said that before because I was just about to mention them, too.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, hold on. We'll get to that once we have the full audience back. And when I say we have most of our listeners on Twitch, we have most of our regulars on Twitch as far as I know.
Yeah.
It's I'm sure we have dozens of people on the other two stations. And of course there's always
These are the ones that we're communicating with right now.
Yeah, interact with directly.
Now, one of the things I'd like to find out is what concert you loved. Wasn't particularly great, but because of the connection that you had with the band, ended up being amazing to you.
Well, I think the topic is definitely going to stretch into the third hour without a problem, so we have lots of time to talk about that. So
yeah,
and I'm enjoying these topics where we are extending them all 3 hours. It's nice. Hold on, we're coming back in 5 seconds. Okay, 9 Inch Nails, and we're gonna hit the next 10 minutes talking about our least favorite concerts and then go into the inappropriate third hour and just carry on with what we're doing because we're having a good time with it. So the worst concert I saw wasn't actually all that bad. It was just mildly, and that was actually In Excess. I had a friend who had a spare ticket, said, "You want to go?" I went, "Sure." But the real disappointment is when they leaned over into the crowd with their mic and they're inches away from the screaming fans and none of that is coming across on the mic. And the saxophone playing in the background, and there's not a saxophone on the stage. I'm kind of like, oh. So this is totally canned, and they're just, talking between songs. That's the only time their mics are live. That was a bit of a disappointment.
Oh.
Okay, Andrea, did you have one?
Well, it wasn't. Well, I saw Marilyn Manson when they first became big, and I heard all these great things about the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, none of that happened. I was a little disappointed.
What great things did you hear?
Police were called. Things happened on stage. Just some wild and crazy. No, there was none of that. I mean, they performed. It was good. Music was good, but
you had a certain
I was a little
expectation of bonus material
I
that
did.
wasn't there.
Because of the media.
Gotcha.
I was expecting all of this.
What about you, Ed?
I've only seen like a half dozen to a dozen shows, and I can't really say any of them were bad.
That's good.
They were people that I wanted to go see, and I left. Yeah, that was a good concert. So, yeah.
Okay. Kevin and Ronnie, I now open the floor to you guys. Kevin, do you want to go first? Because Ronnie's passionate. He's going to talk.
Oh.
Kevin, are you
muted?
Are you muted? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's muted. Yeah, because
sorry, I was
enjoying.
muted. I was muted from earlier. I was enjoying a Jammy Dodger.
God damn it! You said it again.
Yeah, I've got one that ties in, funnily enough, to something that both Travis and Andrea were saying. Travis's comment about music quite obviously being mimed or performed over backing tracks, and also disappointing Marilyn Manson. The first one, I'll do the Marilyn Manson one first because it's a quicker one. Basically, a young friend of a friend who was at the same festival as me once smashed a bottle and threatened to stab me in the face with it whilst drunk at a festival. because he was a huge Marilyn Manson fan, and I'd seen the same gig as him amongst a bunch of others at Download Festival earlier that evening. And I happened to say that I thought it was a pretty average performance, and I was kind of disappointed by the performance. And this poor, bewildered little emo boy got all up in my face with a broken bottle, and it ended badly for him. The other one. Badly performed, badly mimed music at what was at the time a relatively big-ish concert at a big-ish venue. And I was working there, so I won't name it. But I will name the artists. Bear in mind, please, that I was there for work purposes only. The Spice Girls. Now, this was when they very first kind of just exploded.
I thought he was going to say Milli Vanilli.
No, they just exploded after that first single, and they had quite a big first sort of public gig, and I worked security at it, and it was horrendous. They were horrendously average and terrible. They'd obviously got a great record together and got the marketing together, but the actual product, as in the girls performing on stage as a band together, was still a very raw. There was somebody there making a questionable judgment call about whether they were ready to be put in front of an audience that big, frankly.
Right. So not raw in a good way that sometimes we enjoy.
No, and at points it really badly came across, awkward, stilted dialogue, long, awkward pauses with nothing going on. It just felt completely, the fans were absolutely loving it because, frankly, you could have put those 5 girls up there and they could have just stood there and waved for 2 hours, and the audience of teenage girls would have screamed and cried and thrown homemade gifts, and the teenage mothers would have got drunk and tried to chat up the barman and the security guys. The gig, which is exactly what was happening. There is an amusing story attached to that gig, though. Which almost makes up for the fact that it was.
So wait, you were working security there, so the chicks were trying to pick you up?
Well, not me that evening.
Oh, okay.
Let's not get into that. I'm married now. We're not talking about that in my life.
But she's asleep.
Yeah, you never know, man. These shows are archived. Let's move on.
And his kids are of age.
Yeah. The amusing story was that I learned a new and interesting technique for ejecting someone from a building. So there was a guy there, and that's not unusual, admittedly, but there was like a husband and wife who'd come, horrendously cheap couple. They got in a big drunken fight because they were there with their teenage daughter, but they both got absolutely smashed in the bar before the show. And we had to eject him. And it got to one of those comical moments where he was literally braced with all 4 limbs locked against the door. They had the door open to outside trying to get this guy out, and he wouldn't go. And they were trying to bend his knees in and get the joints to go. And he was quite a big, strongish guy, and he was wriggling and wrestling. No, my shift supervisor walked up, and as he walked past me, he stopped, tapped me on the shoulder, and went, "Bear this one in mind." The guy's wearing jogging bottoms, tracksuit trousers, whatever, He just walked up behind him, shoved his hand down the back of his trousers, and just ripped out a small clump of arse hair.
Oh!
But the guy literally, like a collapsed picture of the guy's limbs folded, and he just flew through the door like a baby out of a tube. We just shut the door quietly behind him.
Okay, Ronnie. What do you got?
Oh, wait, as a guy who works security and has thrown out a bunch of people, I wish I would have known that year.
Ooh, I'm going to interrupt Ronnie. Sorry, bud. Ian on Facebook posts Alice Cooper live in the Flesh tour. Stop at Broome County Vet Stadium in Bingham, Nevada in 1987 had serious ups and downs. Music was great, but the security was rude as fuck. Still wouldn't trade it for a pocket full of nickels, though. I'd like to see Alice Cooper. I bet you he does a great show.
Seen him 3 times.
Comes out here all the time.
He's a charming chap.
I just saw him with Deep Purple this year.
He needs to stop in on the show, right?
Oh, yes, he does.
I would love to have a conversation with him because he's very educated.
Well, and a wonderful human being.
And doesn't take himself too serious.
Exactly.
Hosts his own radio show as well on Planet Rock Radio.
I've heard it quite often, actually. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Having worked as many shows I've had, I have more than my share. of bad shows. The worst of all time. And I've seen this guy 3 times, and each one was worse than the one before, was David Allan Coe. Now, for those of you who don't know who David Allan Coe is, his most famous song is
I know David Allan
you don't
Coe.
have to, yeah, you don't have to call me darling. He's David Allan
darling.
Coe. David Allan Coe was a racist back in his day, and he has since not become a racist. But there's still plenty of racists who go in their KKK shirts to his concerts.
Can you recover from racism? Is that a recoverable affliction?
It's
I got over it.
he got
I think you should clip that.
well he ended up marrying a woman who showed him the error of his ways, and so he doesn't perform any of those songs anymore.
She was black.
Was she? I don't know.
know.
I don't think she was. I think she was just a religious woman. But David Allan Coe showed up. First of all, the only thing he had mic'd was his guitar. The bassist wasn't mic'd. The drummer wasn't mic'd. The rhythm guitarist wasn't mic'd. Keyboardist wasn't mic'd. And so the only thing you could really hear was his guitar. And he never finished the song. He would start with a story. Well, there was this time me and Chris Christopherson were doing this, and he'd go into the song, and he'd sing the first verse and the chorus of the song, and then he'd cut it off and go to another story about him and Johnny Cash, or him and Willie Nelson, or him and George Jones, and then he'd sing another song, the first verse and the chorus, and then he cut it off, and the only thing you could hear was him, because you couldn't hear the rest of the band. But the memorable moment of that was there was this African American gentleman in a members only jacket who was sitting in the front, standing in
black,
the front.
right?
Hence the African. Yes, he was.
That's not necessarily true.
You know what? That's true. Dave Matthews is an African American, and he's white as hell. Yes, he was black, and he's standing there in his members only jacket, singing the word to every David Allan Coe song. And these 2 guys with their KKK shirts on, were looking at him. And you can physically tell by looking at them that their brains could not process a black man singing David Allan Coe songs. They would just look, and their mouths were open. They're like their whole world was crumbling in front of them. It was great. But yeah, that was the worst show of all time. The other one would be
Thanks for the
the Jadakiss, rapper Jadakiss, where a riot broke out. I was working security. I got hit in the back of the neck with a fire extinguisher. That show was just horrible. The crowd was horrible. The performance was horrible. I worked the Wu-Tang Clan.
Nice.
That was great. They almost got me killed. Literally almost got me killed. I was running the lights for them.
Now,
and
hold that thought. I'm going to go into a song. You can continue the story, okay? So, guys, in the third hour, I'm playing some of the small bands, some of the steampunk music that we came up on. And the first one is going to be Painless Parker, who is out in New York drinking with the devil. So enjoy that, and we'll be right back. Okay, go on, Alfredo.
So I'm running the lights, and the Wu-Tang Clan at that point didn't have Method Man with them. They had his brother. And so what they were trying to do, his brother looked a lot like him, was trying to fool the crowd. So he was toward the back. So there's one part, they go, yo, light man, I'm trying to see the crowd. Yo, give me the lights. So I put up the crowd. So I put up the crowd lights, and they're going, yo, light man, we're trying to see the crowd, what you doing? So at that point, I literally push up every light I can control, which is everything but the house lights. And the crowd starts turning to me and going, yo, light man, what you doing? He's trying to see us. And I'm going, and I'm looking at the band. The band's looking at me going, yo, what you doing, light man? And I'm going, I'm waving, like, I got everything up. What do you want? And the crowd's like, saying that.
Getting nasty.
And then they go, they get nasty. So later on, they go, yo, light man, we trying to set a move. Yo, light man, we want. blue. Now, in when you're doing lighting, you do something that's called color correction. Okay, and that's so that you can make the artist pop out based on his skin tone. You had a bunch of
Yeah.
black artists wearing black on a black stage, and I put up blue. Literally, all you could see was teeth and teeth. And the crowd's turning to me going, yo, Light Man, what the fuck you doing? We want blue, yo. They want blue. I put up the blue. I raised my hands and I said, fuck this. And I walked away. And they did the rest of their concert in blue. Literally nobody could see them. But that concert was horrible because they were going to get me. They literally were going to get me killed.
And by the way, Sonar posted, worst concert experience was Led Zeppelin 2. The venue didn't open the doors till an hour and a half after what they had printed on the tickets. Then waited another half hour for the band to take the stage. Then listened to the band cram 4 songs into 10 minutes. My bud and I left after that debacle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I've seen that with it. David Allen Coe was supposed to come on at 10 o'clock. He didn't show up. He didn't play till midnight. Method Man, he did a show on his own at the Northern venue I worked at. He was supposed to come on at 9 o'clock. He wasn't even in the state. That ended up being a debacle too. He kicked the girl in the face. She was trying to come over to buy. Yeah, she was trying to come over to buy. She was pissed off. He didn't start till 1 o'clock. And she was pissed off, and the whole time she's yelling at him, and he's doing this, and then he was ignoring her, and then finally she was like, "Fuck this!" and she started climbing over the barricade. He came over and just kicked her right in the face. He
was like the Santa Claus in A Christmas Story, just boot on the face.
Yeah, literally, it was.
Do you guys know the story about Keith Richards hitting a Japanese fan with his guitar?
No.
And
So
then
basically,
Ed had something after that.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
Mr.
Go ahead.
It was basically, kind of the same thing. In the days where the security wasn't necessarily amazing, the Stones were playing in Japan, and a very excitable fan leapt up on stage.
And we're coming back.
And Keith Richards kind of took his guitar by the neck and smacked this fan into the orchestra pit at the front of the stage. And somebody grabbed him and dragged
everybody. It's Kevin telling a story about Keith Richards pummeling fans with guitars. Go on.
Yeah, just the excitable Japanese fans leapt up on stage, and Keith sort of grabbed the guitar and clubbed him with it back off the stage, and he was grabbed and dragged away. And the following day, there was a TV interview with them.
With the fan,
and the interviewer with the band. And the TV interviewer turns around to Keith Richards and says, "So yesterday there was a slight altercation, and you used your guitar to beat a fan off the stage. Care to offer any comment on that?" And Keith Richards just looks very calmly straight at the camera and goes, "Well, the mother was on my turf, man. I had to chop him down."
Yeah, I think that's actually fair. I think if the lesson learned is stay the fuck off the stage, you're not the band.
Yeah. Crowd surf by all means. Security accept that. We're quite happy with it. We don't mind. I don't do it anymore. It's the force to happen. They don't mind. It's part of the job. They're quite happy if you want to do that. They're more than happy to catch you as long as you're not a dick and get you safe back into the audience so you can go and enjoy the show again. But don't try and push your luck and get up on the stage, because that means we've got to take our attention off of thousands of people to focus on you because you're being a dick and not listening to the rules. And the rules are there to keep everybody safe. That's what people forget. It's not just.
Kevin, I know you could agree with me, having worked security. The thing that you worry about the most is watching a crowd, a member of the crowd jump up on stage because of, especially after what happened with the band Damage Plan when the fan came shot Diamondback. That's exactly the kind of
that
thing.
was a huge loss.
Yeah, and he was a great guy. I got to meet him with Damage Plan. Incredible. That's one that hurt. But just like you said, when you've got you know, a couple thousand people who are sitting there having a good time. But you're keeping your eye out because you know there's some guys who are drunk, some people being belligerent. Now all of a sudden you get the one idiot who gets on stage, and literally every security person, their eyes turn to the stage because of the havoc that could happen, and the venue is going to be held responsible if anything happens. You know, you've got thousands of dollars of equipment. You've got a famous person on stage. You don't know what this fan wants to do, and most of the time they want to.
More to the point, you've got ordinary working guys who now, if they don't stop you, run the risk of losing their job. It's what they're paid to be there to do.
Right.
You know, if we don't deal with the threat, in inverted commas, that you've now presented with us, then we're essentially not doing what we've been paid to turn up and do. So we have to do that, which means that in order to deal with you, we've got to take our attention off of a whole bunch of people.
Right. And also the precedence that it sets. If you make it on the stage and make it off without any kind of penalty, now it's open season. You have I mean, literally, you just said, "Hey, the rest of you fuckers, come up on stage and touch your idol."
And by the way, who's ever playing with the sounds? You're amusing. The Stream Ellen's just posted a thing. Is it you, Andrea? I don't know if you guys are hearing them, but I'm hearing the scream and the boing noise and the applause that Andrea's playing through Twitter.
I didn't know if it was working. I just keep doing sound.
I get my cock out once, and suddenly it's all going mad.
And
yeah,
Andrea, just so you know,
screaming and everything.
You can do it straight from the store, or you can come over and type exclamation. There we go, like Kevin just did there. Redeem space and the sound effect name, and it will play it through.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. How do you do that? Okay.
So you don't have to go purchase them, then play them. You can do it straight from the chat box.
Yeah, just exclamation mark, redeem, then a space, and then the name of whatever sound effect you want to use.
Oh, because when I went to the store, I saw the sound. I hit redeem item, and that must have been when it played it.
Yeah, I heard the boing, and then the scream, and then the applause. So, and I'm guessing folks on Twitch are hearing that, but you guys might not be because you're just on Skype and not listening to the sound.
What about this?
I'm waiting. It might have that delay, though. Oh, the snore.
That's it. I'm not I'm hearing it because I can't hear Twitch because it gives me a horrendous delay in my headphones.
Right. It's
Did you hear it?
I did, the snore. I heard the snore.
Well, I'm just...
Oh, you saying my story's boring?
So if I click on this, like, toast or something...
I don't hear any of that. Now I hear just somebody sniffing.
Oh, that's probably Gene.
Anyway, let's get back. Let's get back to music.
No, it's you wanted to talk about. If you're done with that topic, we could go into the next topic here.
I'd like to comment on something that Ronnie was talking about, Method Man, and his terrible, the way he was acting. It was just overall bad, fucked up. And it made me think of an actual good concert going experience I had back in the 80s. Okay, it was MC Hammer.
Oh.
But a friend of mine had won tickets to his concert. She couldn't find anybody to go with her. It's like, shit, I'll go to a concert. Free concert, sure, I'll go.
Is there anybody that would turn down free concert tickets here?
Oh, hell no.
I'll go experience any of them.
Yeah. Vanilla Ice opened for him, by the way. Gotta,
Oh wow,
that's an amazing double whammy. That is.
Yeah.
Well, but at the time, but I bet you at the time it was a hell of a show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a hell of a show.
I still know all the words to Ice Ice Baby even now.
Sure. She won the tickets, and there's a part of it you got to meet MC Hammer. No big thing. You're lined up in the hallway for a whole bunch of people to meet MC Hammer. You know the deal. Okay.
Sure.
They ran out of time. And we weren't going to be able to meet him because he had to get on stage. And the cool thing about it was you could hear him. His handlers are like, you got to get on stage. And he's like, no, these people are waiting here to see me. I'm going to take the time to go see him. So he walked down, signed a few autographs, and did his whole thing. I just thought that was amazingly cool.
Mm-hmm. Real quick before we move on, I got a similar story. Rob Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
When I was on radio, I got to interview Rob Zombie. At the time, the biggest interview that I got to do. And I was the last guy, and they gave us 5 minutes. Everybody had 5 minutes. So I get up and I get in there and I say, "How you doing? You know, Mr. Zombie, call me Rob. Yeah, how you doing, Alfredo? You ready to start? Yeah." And rather than talk about music, first thing that came out of my mouth was, "I hear you like comic books." We had a 25-minute conversation, and his manager is coming in, and he's looking at me and he's pointing to the clock, and I'm looking at him going, "I'm a nothing DJ in a nothing town, and I got Rob Zombie here, and Rob Zombie is not getting out. Fuck you." And we talked, and he came in 3 times looking at me like, "Come on." I'm like, "No." And Rob Zombie, we're having an incredible conversation. And then finally, the last time he goes, "Rob, we got to get out of here." On the air. And Rob looks at me and he goes, "Man, Alfredo, I am so sorry. I'm having a great time. But I got to get ready to go on stage." And I was just like, "Thank you very much." Close the interview. The man literally gave me 15 autographs.
Wow.
I had a bunch of stuff. He went and signed literally everything that I had. He's like, "Anything else?" I'm like, "No, just thank you." At the end of the show, he had a meet and greet. I got to talk to him again for about another 10, 15 minutes. And I got my picture taken with him. It was just like incredible. And a lot of times what I found out, having worked in the industry, you hear these horror stories about artists. It's not the artists. A lot of times it's their handlers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that at conventions.
Yeah. And they do, and I get it. I
It's what
lost
they're paid
on my
to do.
chance.
Yeah.
Right. I lost my chance. to meet
Yeah, but
Alice
some
Cooper
of them
because-
take it way too fucking seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
And they take themselves way too seriously, more of the point.
Yeah.
And I want to relate that to the show. That's something I try to do on the show when we have somebody as a guest. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about what they do, but I want to talk about other things too. I want to make more of a connection than just, "Oh, you're a writer," or "You're a, whatever." So yeah, no, I like that approach.
It's to me, it having interviewed a bunch of people when I was on radio. The one thing that made my interviews different is I never did any research.
I do minimal.
Minimal. I want an organic conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do enough to get an idea who the guy's about.
Right.
And you have to ask, in radio, you got to ask the basic questions. So tell me about the album, because they're there to promote the album. But after that, it was always talk to him about something else, something that was unique about him, something that makes them human.
Right.
And that was the great thing about Rob Zombie is I know he had just had 3 interviews before I got to interview him, and he got the same questions. And I came out, "So I hear you like comic books," and the look on his face was like, "Holy shit, I'm gonna get to talk to him," other than the album, and it went on, and it was great. Same thing when I interviewed Mike Ness of Social Distortion, first interview I ever did, and I looked at him and I said, "So you got a new album out?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you really think of the album?" And he looked at me. He's like, "Honestly?" I said, "Yeah." Like, "It's all right." Like, it's an all right album. Social Defense are gonna like it. It's okay. And I went, and from there we just started talking about all kinds of other shit, and it was always fun. My experience with interviews always fun when you get away from the obligated questions.
Vaguely related, next week when we have Gail Carriger on, we've had her on 2 or 3 times before, and we've discussed her books on the first show. Other than that, we just touch on what she's got going on now, and then it's strictly an organic conversation, and it makes it such a more real and fun experience for both sides, I think.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting to see the real person,
Sure.
rather than somebody portraying the image they think you expect of them.
Now, we're going to go on chatting about this. I'm going to do a song. When we come out of the song, we're going to talk about...
Hang on, you're going to do a song?
Yes.
Oh, I
You
can't
got
wait.
like a little dance routine planned out for us as well?
Well, I'll call it dance. The rest of you will call it, is he okay?
Travis.
Yeah.
Tell me what you want. What you really, really want.
I'll tell you what I want. What I really, really want. I want to oomph. I want to oomph.
You want to?
Yeah. Okay. So here's some Uglyography, who's local here to Williamsburg.
Oh, I love those guys.
You like
Yes.
them? They're good, aren't they? And they actually have a different band name now, if I'm not
They,
mistaken.
they, Quirk Rock.
That's
Is
right.
what they like to call it.
Yeah. Well,
Quirk Rock
this is live from Hampton Tap House, and it's Marcel's Foil. We'll be back. And when we get back, we could talk about some of these smaller bands that we've seen that, we were talking about the shows. Yes, Andrea?
Well, I have a good one.
Okay, we'll start with you when we get back on.
It's not a small band.
How long have we got, Travis?
We've got about 4 minutes or more.
Cool. Just going to make
good.
a quick coffee.
But yeah,
Go.
you guys run off, and wow, it's just me and you guys in Twitch. Okay. So I went to a Youngling's Lager, which sometimes a lager just hits the spot. Tonight I'm really enjoying the black and tan, which I prefer a real black and tan. But I tell you what, for a bottle with the two blended, it's good enough for me. I enjoy it. It's a good moderate beer. As I was saying for next week's show, Gail Carriger, where we're doing high and low comedy, so there'll be a lot of puns. There'll be a lot of what else we got going on? Oh, probably limericks. I love a good limerick. Knock jokes will probably be in there. All those good dad jokes is low humor. I'm still trying to figure out what high humor is, which I realize we probably do on occasion, but it's not necessarily our go-to comedy. Now, these people that are playing right now, which you guys can't hear if you're listening on Twitch, Uglyography, I actually met them at Hampton History Museum doing a steampunk event where I was there as an author, which, by the way, if you look down below the box, you'll see some of my books that are for sale, and I'm working on a couple new ones here. 2 are with editors cleaning them up, and 2 others are in the work, including a part 2 to The Downfall, which book 1 is Harbinger. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how she's going to respond. I don't know if we've got to back it down a little bit. Here. There we go. We'll have those other people back. Sorry about that. There we go. We had a little bit of radio silence on the stations because it was on manual. Oopsie. There we go. Okay, good times. There we go. See how that works out. There's 2 of them coming back. As they all bailed and left me to talk to you guys alone. So sorry.
Aww.
Yeah. I was just talking about...
Are you lonely?
No, I'm curious how Gail will react to just a whole show about comedy, considering our level of comedy. Now, I know you guys haven't read her stuff, but she puts a lot of humor in her books.
She writes on her stuff? Wow.
Yeah, but... and
There's there's a wall of remembrance.
And when I hung out with her at Steampunk World's Fair earlier this year, I'm always cautious about approaching what is a big name and taking up too much of their time. But she actually actively sought Andrea and I out to hang out with us quite a bit and take her selfies, because she posts a selfie each day when she's at these events. Or not a selfie when I'm taking the picture. But yeah, I think she'll fit in fine. But we'll check her level before we go on air and see if we have to behave at all.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it, but maybe.
There are still jokes I know I won't be bringing out.
Well, her latest series is basically a gay werewolf romance. So I'm thinking if she's writing this, she should be okay with, off-color humor.
Risque is fine.
Yeah, we'll see.
30 to 40% of my joke collection isn't.
We'll save that for the 3rd hour and warn her and ask her if she wants to bolt.
A gay werewolf romance.
Mm-hmm.
Got to make sure Bob is here.
Oh, I want the book. You're talking about Gail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to order that book.
You should order it on air while she's with us.
May happen because, yeah.
And then have it shipped to her and see if she'll sign and ship it over to you. We'll have to get her address off air, though.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think she could sign the Kindle version.
Oh, probably not. It's
Because that's probably what I'll get. That's how I got most of her books is Kindle version.
yeah, that is the thing about Kindle is it's not quite as able to be signed. Though that
No.
would be cool to have them sign the back of your Kindle, wouldn't it?
Yeah, ship her your tablet.
Why not?
No, we have to go to
My
Steampunk World's Fair.
library.
Are we still
We
on
got
a
about
song?
45 seconds.
Those guys at Uglyography are great.
They are. It's Matthew is the lead's
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
We saw them is that who we saw at Hampton Museum?
Yes, that's where we first met them, and I got their album.
Yeah,
And yeah, generally
I remember
just
that.
a good group of guys. It's he's.
Yeah, next time you see him, tell him Alfredo says hi.
I'll do that, and he'll be like, "Your lunch is talking to me." He'll be like,
Or you
"Well, it's
could
been
tell-
talking back to me for an hour."
I love that picture that someone put on. I think it was to your wall the other day, mate. With the packet of sauce, classic Alfredo.
Yes.
Yes.
That's one of it's one of my favorite posts whenever somebody puts that up there.
And we're coming back here. Okay, welcome back to the show. We were just talking in the break about Gail Carriger, but now I want to go into some of the favorite bands we've seen who are not necessarily well known by everybody. Some of the smaller indie bands. Andrea, you had something?
Yeah, but it wasn't a small indie band.
What is it?
Aaron Tippin. Have you heard of him? Country singer.
Yeah.
Country guy, yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking, someone where it was a really good show because of them.
Mm.
He is an entertainer.
Mm-hmm. What do you do
You
that
kind
stood
of
out?
build everybody up for this other thing. It's just he was very interactive, and during his show, he put together a child's bike during one song. And this was, I guess, around this time of year where they were going to donate it to Toys for Tots. And it was a challenge. Hey, let's see if I can do this during this song. So he's singing and putting together a bike. It was pretty cool.
That's cool, isn't it? That's novel, More
Yeah,
like performance art than a gig, almost.
Yeah. And it was really nice. Him and all of his band, they went and talked to people afterwards. It was a smaller event in Norfolk.
C6 Steve is one I've just thought of. I saw him. I don't know if you guys know who he is.
What is it?
I saw C6 Steve, and he's really good. He's got a tune where he just randomly picks a girl out of the audience, does the whole Barry Manilow thing where he gets her up and sits her on a stool and sings to her and stuff.
Oh, nice.
It's quite amusing because of his age and his beard. It kind of looks like a granddad singing to his granddaughter.
Now, Ed.
One of my
Oh, go ahead,
Yo.
Ronnie. Go ahead, Ronnie.
one of my favorite shows, and it's because of the feel that I had for the band, is the Monkees, and I got to see them. Got to see them before Davy Jones passed away. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I have an extremely huge love of the Monkees.
Mhm.
I've always wished that my life was like a episode of the Monkees. Paisley Friday started from the Monkees. It started from me wanting to wear Paisley shirts because when I was young, I would see them wearing Paisley shirts, and it would make me smile. So to get to see them live, and I saw them at this little Innsbruck After Hours up in Richmond. It's this little place, bring your own chair, kind of hangout. And they put on an incredible show, and that's probably one of my top 10 shows of all time. And it was more because it was the Monkees, So, and I'm sure that anybody who's been to a number of concerts has that band that might have been significant at some point, isn't really now. They're not selling out huge venues. You might have seen them in some small club or something, and it didn't matter. It was still that band, and the emotion that you have tied into that band is worth its weight in gold.
Now, Ed and I have gone to a lot of Renaissance fairs. And I'm pretty sure I speak with authority here when I say one of Ed's favorite bands would be the Rogues.
Albanach.
Do you want to talk a little bit about why?
It's a Scottish bagpipe and drum band. They've changed a lot of members now, so they don't have the same sound they used to have about 7 years ago. But I'll never forget being at a Ren fair about 7 years ago, T and we could hear just these drums off in a distance that were amazing and incredible. And it's like,
Yeah, if you guys
follow
have
that
never seen a
sound.
good pipe and drum band live, the CD will never compare to the live
Right.
performance of this one,
Never
ever.
compared to the live
No matter how
performance.
loud
Yeah.
you turn it
And,
up, what kind of sound system you have.
yeah, when we got to the stage, the energy, they were just all over the place. It was the greatest 30-minute set I believe I'd ever seen before in my
Yeah,
life.
and I can't
It
imagine them
was
going more than 30
truly
minutes
awesome.
because, God, they
Yeah.
will wipe themselves out. But the Rogues, Clan, and Drumma, those are all good.
They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
I
good.
liked Clan and Drumma when I saw them in Florida. It was the same type of feel. I've never seen all
They're very engaging. I mean,
hmm
it's good. Yeah.
Well, Random Share Bands is where I got my start with live music. And, when I think of Double Indemnity that became Empty Hats when they
Hmm.
broke up, um, and Minstrels of Mayhem, Pirates Royale.
I have their CD.
Yeah, it's just a great
I like them.
performance because even though their set is, I'm thinking Naughty Nymphs and a few of the other women with inappropriate song bands, though they are rehearsed to a T, and you're almost surprised when you hear it on the CD, and you're like, that's the exact same shit they said in the show I saw, minus the audience interaction is different. It's
Right.
just incredible that they get up there and do the same show and engage repeatedly. And yeah, it's good. It's very good. Now, in the steampunk arena, going to conventions and seeing live bands, that's been another great experience with Frenchie and the Punk puts on a great show. Their albums are great, but their live is better. And This Way to the Egress,
Oh, it's great.
there is nothing like a tuba on stage.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, they hit it out of the park every show.
They have all the instruments that you play in high school. You're like, what are you going to do after high school? They did it.
Yeah.
The trumpet, the trombone, the tuba. It's great.
The oboe, the French horn.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
And the drummers,
Seriously.
though, they're dressed like a caveman with a bone through his pierced nose and everything. And just a good show. And of course, afterwards, they're with the rest of the crowd and they're hanging out with the rest of the crowd. So that's
They're
why
so
they get this
fun.
following. Any of these bands that I've mentioned. Ed?
Sonar says Orphanland and Voodoo Kung Fu. He saw them with his boys. Automaton was opening for them.
Automaton's
awesome.
another good show.
Automaton. Yeah, I like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the interaction afterwards that endears you to the band really forever.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you there, Ronnie? You got some other small bands? Because I know you've dealt with a lot of them.
I'm trying to think of. Clutch is not a small band, but they're not a huge band, and that's the only show that I've ever seen bikers and hippie twirly people at the same show enjoy.
That figures with Clutch as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's an incredible show. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go see them December 29th.
Nice.
Yeah, they're amazing. I'm trying to think. There's God.
While you're thinking, who else is great live? Matricula.
Oh, yeah.
Because she gets
I
up
don't
there
know
and she's like, well, she's been on the show a couple times. She'll be again on later this month for the Whose Line Is It Anyway episode. And she gets up there and she looks like a children's performer. She looks like something straight out of a kid's show. And then she sings these horribly filthy, perverted songs in this delightful little soprano. And it's just...
Dressed as a clown.
Yeah.
It makes you like clowns.
I don't know if you guys ever heard. You guys might have heard the Dresden Dolls.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They put on an incredible show, and it's like a fair.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. You have stilt walkers in the audience, and jugglers, and people dressed up like it's like this. It's like the street performers, except that they're on stage, and they do a version of Led Zeppelin's it might be rock and roll. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen them, where that drummer hits the freaking drum so hard, it's amazing he doesn't break the skins. To see him play another band like that, where they're amazing, small band called Mute Math.
Okay.
They're what they call math rock. So it's this incredible, these time signatures that change. Incredible performance by them. Also, they're another great band to see live if you ever get a chance.
Very good. Okay, we still got 30 minutes left. What do you guys
I
want to
just
talk about?
popped up a link in the Facebook page. In fact, I'll pop it in Twitch as well, for a smaller band that I particularly love, that I saw a really great gig by last January, I think. The Temperance Movement. Discovered them from the lead singer, actually, a guy called Phil Campbell, and there's a series of videos on YouTube called Tenement TV, which is basically a whole bunch of artists doing solo performances in the upstairs bedroom of an ordinary tenement house. And so you can see traffic going past in the street outside the window and stuff. And there's this whole series. And I was skipping through a bunch of those after I found them on YouTube. And I came across this guy, and I just thought he had the most amazing voice. And I went and Googled him and found that he literally just at that moment joined this new band that had their first single coming out soon. And so it kind of was in on it from the beginning, which is always nice, when you kind of discover a band in their infancy. And they were just awesome. And again, it's engagement. He jumps down off the stage and goes running through the crowd, and he stops and shakes hands with people. He sings lines with people. Just it breaks down that whole barrier, that invisible line at the front of the stage. I know we were saying earlier, from a security standpoint, don't cross that line, but it's more than just a physical. But it's more than just the artist, like, physically stepping across that line. What I mean by stepping across the line is that it's like in a movie when someone breaks the fourth wall.
Right.
They're removing that separation between you and a character on stage. They're going, hey, I'm not some big star. It's just me. I'm a guy with a microphone. My name's Dave. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm just going to come and spend 10 seconds engaging with you. I'm in the middle of a gig with all these other people, but I see you. I see you having fun. Hi.
And by the way,
yeah,
Ian asked, anyone else ever make it to CBGB's before they shuttered the doors? I was visiting friends in Brooklyn and saw Hole in Smashing Pumpkins in '91. Man, that shit was nasty.
Nice.
I walked into. I got to see the place. I didn't get to see a show there. My brother, back in the '70s. He was a regular down there, and he would tell me about, I just saw this incredible band there called the Talking Heads. Man, you'd have loved them. Oh man, I just saw this band. Pay attention, you're going to be hearing them. They're called the Ramones. And I would say, at that point, I'm 9, 10, 11 years old. I'm like, yeah, okay, great. I don't know who the fuck these people
I remember the Ramones in Rock and Roll High School.
A famous story down in Virginia Beach is when the Ramones played a place called Peabody's, and and the band wasn't able to play. Somebody didn't make it, and a riot happened. And there's the famous thing is there's a McDonald's right across the street from Peabody's, and there was a big tree there. And they set the tree on fire.
Oh no!
Damn.
Yeah, that's one of those local legend shows. But I got a question for you guys. If you've seen, and I think this would be a good one to kind of end the show. Give me your list of top shows that you've seen. Pick 2 or 3.
Ooh, okay, yeah, gonna need a couple of minutes to think about that.
While you guys are thinking, I'll tell you.
Yeah, we got 25 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Top 3.
Yeah, I'll give you top 3. I'll give you my top 3. Number 1, the Monkees, and again because of the relationship that I had with the band. Number 2 would be Elton John, when I saw him at the Richmond Coliseum. Just an incredible connection with the audience. He understood his legacy and understood what the people wanted. And at the end, he does this incredible thing, which is after he does his set, he goes off on stage. He goes off stage. People in the first 10, 12 rows, I was in the second row dead center when I saw him, rushed the stage. And then he comes and he does his encore, and you're leaning on the stage. And when he's done, he goes to one end of the stage and walks down across and signs autographs for everybody on the stage. And you see people there helping them albums. I got my ticket stub autographed. My girlfriend at the time, I had bought her the program. She got that autographed by him. It's amazing.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's go into our last song of the evening, Vagabondage with Raise Your Glass. We'll be back in
Nice.
4.5. Okay, there.
I have my list.
What's your list?
The three.
The three top?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about top, but my three favorites.
Right.
Well, yeah, your three favorite shows. My third one, by the way, was Iron Maiden this year. I was all the way just incredible sounded exactly like the albums back in the 80s. And just an incredible visual show.
What do you got?
Twitch.
What do you got, Andrea?
Oh, me? Oh,
Unless you want to
I guess
wait
I
till
could
after
talk
the
to
song.
don't matter. Guar. Oh my God, they perform. When me and my friends left, we were covered in like blood and piss.
Yeah.
Not real, but oh my God, that was a great show.
All night I've been trying to resist the temptation to do the whole guar, her, yeah. What is it
Yeah.
good for?
Oh, it's I know plenty of people go to Guar concerts with white T-shirts, and then whatever they get on, that's their
Frame it.
concert shirt. Yeah, that's their concert.
Yeah, I mean it was kind of bad because we go, and of course there's the fake blood everywhere and stuff. And my cousin was trying to help someone. He fell down, and as he was getting helped up, I think his earring got ripped out.
Oof.
Ooh.
So then he's covered in real blood. Afterwards, we all go to the emergency room and walk in, covered in this fake blood and just the faces of the nurses. That was priceless. He had to have stitches or something. It was great.
And what's your next two?
Slipknot. Slipknot is, they're good just because of the drums. This is like one of my most memorable ones because of the drums. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. Just the beat of the drums. It was really good. Another one. This was just entertaining. 2 Live Crew and ICP.
Get the fuck out of here. I've got plenty of ICP stories and I got plenty of Slipknot stories.
Well, see, they were at the boathouse before the boathouse got destroyed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, we went, it was great, but 2 Live Crew was old as shit. But it was very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Ed?
That's my three.
I'd have to say of the half a dozen or so that I've seen, I enjoyed them, but there was nothing about any particular one that I would say is great. They were just people I like to see, so I went and saw them in concert. But I would like to talk about what I felt like was the greatest live musical performance ever, Motown 25.
Now, do you want to wait till we're back with the radio stations, or you want to talk about
Sure.
this now? Okay. But, I'd again have to throw like Almanac at you.
Okay.
Because you enjoy their performances. You go to
yeah.
theirs.
But when we're talking about big
we're talking about the big
people,
ones only, okay.
Concerts,
Because out of my favorites, I'd have to, list probably more of the small guys than the big guys.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
me.
Same here.
Yeah. It's, I would love to see certain people in concert. Like I mentioned earlier, I'd love to see Billy Joel in concert. I heard he does a great show.
He's got a residency at Madison Square Garden.
Does he?
He plays at Madison Square Garden every month.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Road trip.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonder what those tickets cost.
Probably not outrageous, considering the venue and the artist.
Yeah, probably one side or the other of 100, I would guess.
Yeah, probably. which to us broke people, $100 for a concert is a bit, but in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah, $100
It's
for a
really not that
lifetime
much.
experience, though.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's
Right.
the difference. Would I go there for anybody? No. Would I go there for him? Probably. And hold on, we're coming back. Okay, and that was Vagabondage with Raise Your Glass. And Ed is now going to talk about one of what he feels is the most memorable.
Best live,
There we go. Go
well, best live performance ever. Motown 25. I grew up in a Motown household, so Motown was the thing, and I remember watching that on TV. I watched the video over and over and over again, repeatedly since then, and every artist, every song was just absolutely great, and narrated by none other, or hosted by none other than the big comedian himself. Oh fuck, what's his name now? Nigger guy.
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Boom, just like that.
Richard Pryor. Yeah, Richard Pryor. So all he had to do was say nigger and come to mind. But two things that happened that night. The Jackson 5 reunited on stage for the first time since Michael Jackson left, and their performance of I'll Be There was absolutely credible, trying to give that message to one another. It was absolutely credible. And Michael Jackson moonwalked for the first time live. Yep.
And you were there for it?
I wish I was.
You were there in spirit.
Oh.
That was one of those moments that you saw and you knew you were witnessing history right there.
Yeah.
You saw him do that.
So what about you, Kevin?
What, for top three?
Sure.
Wow. Okay. I was jotting down some notes a minute ago because when Ronnie asked this, I was like, God, I could sit here for 3 hours and stare at that list, and I'll just keep rewriting it over and over again. So I've just picked three and gone with it. Iron Maiden Download in 2007. Any Maiden gig at Download is always going to be an absolute stormer because it's hometown, it's Birmingham, it's where Maiden are from. And it's a British crowd, and no offense to American crowds. I'm not trying to be funny now when I say this. A lot of American rock artists will confirm this, at least when it comes to a rock and metal crowd. The Brits have got the Americans beat hands down.
Yeah, all day.
Audience participation. And that gig was just phenomenal from the very opening moment. Now, it downloads right next to Birmingham International Airport. So when the bands are on, you can't hear a thing. But when there's nothing coming from the stage, you can hear planes taking off from the field next door to you. And a 747, big passenger airplane, came overhead with a big loud rumble just as they were about to take the stage. And their sound engineer deserves a gold medal of the industry or something for this. He brought up this low rumble on the stage that you didn't notice at first because of the sound of the airplane going over, and then as the airplane faded into the distance, you're like, why is that sound not disappearing? And it just grew and grew and grew, and eventually it burst into the intro to Number of the Beast, which is how they came on stage. But yeah, from that moment onwards, everything was magical about that. It's the gig that I posted a link to the video from earlier, which is Fear of the Dark, and that's what 65,000 British metal fans singing along with every ounce of air in their lungs sounds like. That video now to this day sends absolute chills down my spine. One of those voices, quite hoarse by that point, is mine. Eric Clapton at the Royal Albert Hall, I mentioned earlier, Jack makes the top three just because it was an absolute masterclass in musicianship. I mean, obviously, we know he's great. He earned the nickname God, but he's just a completely polished performer. You really is. You're aware technically watching him as a player that he's just phenomenally adept. He's in a class of his own, And the third one I picked, just because I think it sums up some of what we were saying tonight about why live music is brilliant. Corey Taylor from Slipknot. 1 year at Download, 2012, he had 3 performances on the bill in the same weekend. So he played with Slipknot, he played with Stone Sour, his other band, and he also, on the second stage one afternoon for about an hour, he did a solo acoustic set. Now, he does this sometimes when in between tours with the bands, he goes out and does this. And he does acoustic covers, including some Slipknot stuff. He does an amusing sort of jazzy version of Spit It Out and stuff. But he he kind of said it himself. He was in front of a British crowd, and he knows that we're good for a fucking good sing along. So he played all kinds of stuff. He played "Comfortably Numb" by Pink Floyd. He played "All Night Long" by AC/DC. "You Shook Me All Night Long," where he got Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm to come out and sing with him. And it was more like watching a guy sat busking in a pub, almost like people were shouting out from the audience, "Hey, play some Pink Floyd. Okay, here, let's have "Comfortably Numb." But he had 10,000 odd people crammed into this tent, within the first 10 minutes of him starting to play. It was literally, you were like sardines in a can. So many people trying to cram into this tent to watch this guy. And there was just an electric feeling about it from start to finish. There's loads of videos of it on YouTube if you want to go and find any of it. He did some amazingly brilliant stuff. It's 2012 it downloaded. So that's my top 3.
Very good. I think what we've learned from the whole episode is bands can play music all they want. But what makes a super fan is that interaction, not the music. No matter how great you are at the music, if you don't interact with your fans, it's just
it adds a whole layer of emotional empathy to the music.
Sure.
Speaking of music, by the way, I've just remembered there is one thing I've got to do before the end of the show. So I'm going to mute and disappear off camera just for a quick second because there's a guitar.
It only takes him a second.
Yes. A guitar.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. While you're doing that, I'm going to echo what Kevin said. And actually, not only what Kevin said, but what you just said, Travis. I got to see Bob Dylan play twice. And I hate Bob Dylan. Okay. I got to meet him. I hate him. He's an asshole. But on top of that, here's this legendary performer. And the show sucked. And they sucked because he sat at the piano, didn't acknowledge the band, didn't acknowledge the audience. He just played his songs like he was practicing at home. And it broke my heart to see these Dylan fans who worship, because Bob Dylan is one of those people that you worship.
Legendary.
I mean, and I'm not taking away, anything from his abilities, his songwriting abilities, the marks he's made on rock and roll.
Never been a big fan myself. Never saw the greatness in him.
I didn't either. I mean, his writing, definitely. But for him to have these people there hanging on his every word and just ignoring them as if they were nothing. That to me, I felt bad for the Dylan fans.
By the way, Ian a few minutes ago posted, "I'd like to make it to the annual St. Pat's Dropkick Murphy party in Boston." I'll tell you what, they put on a show. Talk about somebody that interacts with their fans. There's a group that does.
I'd like to make it to that show if I could somehow magically skip the morning after that show.
See, and we might sit here and talk about, talent in bands, and Dropkick Murphys, pretty good music, but it's their interaction that makes them.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just for you then, Mr. Mexico.
Yes.
Joe Walsh's old guitar.
Oh, I want to see it. Look at that thing.
You want to tell the story how you got it, Kevin?
Basically, a friend of mine made the deposit for his first house by buying and selling guitars on eBay. And in the midst of his period as an internet guitar dealer, this guitar came across his path. It comes with provenance. It's not super special. It's not like it was, in his hands for particularly long. Basically, what companies do is when a particular model of guitar comes out, they send a few free ones out to notable musicians in the hope that they'll play them somewhere. Sometimes there's a fee if they're pictured playing it somewhere at a gig. And then it's in their possession for a short while, and then it moves on and changes hands. Fortunately, this particular one, somebody kept the paperwork with it that proves its origins, which was that it was sent out and donated for free to Joe Walsh of the Eagles. It's a SoCal, I don't know if you can see the logo on there. It's a SoCal Speed Shop Fender Stratocaster. SoCal Custom Shop specialise in doing custom fender jobs, especially with a strong link to hot rod designs and colours. Hence the creams, whites, cherry reds, the racing stripe up the middle of the fretboard. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to get far enough back to get it in the shot.
I can see it. I can see it. Oh.
Yeah. I've named her Jezebel. Actually, my wife named her, and I like the name and kept it. And it's because she is the Scarlet Lady that keeps me from my wife.
That's gorgeous.
Has anybody ever seen... Oh, I'm sorry, Ronnie, go ahead.
I was going to say, you should see if you can find a picture of him playing it.
I've got one somewhere. I would have got it out and showed you on the camera tonight, but it's with all the paperwork that's upstairs in my bedroom with my sleeping wife, and she shall not be disturbed.
No, she shall. But send me that on a message. I would love to.
I will do, man. Yeah, I've got a picture of him playing it somewhere. I've no idea where the gig is, but I'll send you the picture.
Oh, man.
Have any of you guys ever seen Joe Cocker play?
No, I
not live, no.
I'm curious how his show is.
Well, if you look at the Woodstock if you ever watch the Woodstock movie, they show his performance, and I thought it was incredible. He's one of those guys. If you ever saw him, he does the twitch and it looks like he's having a seizure. But I think that's him getting lost in the music.
I'd like to see him. I like his sound.
Well, he's dead now, so you can't see him.
Right, it's true. That's true. Well,
he died
you can,
a few years
but it's
ago.
illegal to dig him up.
Fair enough.
Damn it.
I remember he was in Across the Universe, the movie where they...
Yes.
And he performed one of the songs in the movie, one of the Beatles songs in the movie, which, by the way, it's not a movie I expected to enjoy, and as much as I have very mixed feelings about it, because musically, I love it. Visually, it's like, it's an acid trip movie, because, the era and whatnot. But,
I thought I thought it was great, especially when you compare it to the other movie to use Beatle music, which was Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
I compare it more
Peter
to
Frampton.
I compare it to Pink Floyd The Wall more than anything else.
Right.
It's which I realize, they're very different movies, but that's there's a cat on the screen. What is that, Andrea?
It's a cat.
Andrea got bored. She's playing with the things. And thanks for the bid.
I had a brief moment there where I forgot that I didn't have Fred and was looking around to see where he was.
He's right there on the
I miss
screen.
Fred. Yeah, there you go.
Look on the Twitch
That's
screen.
because
That's
I miss Fred.
Oh, yeah.
So why did your friend borrow your cat again?
She's not allowed pets in her flat, but she's had pets before, including a cat, and she came around and was playing with our cat, and she's like, I'm really miss having a cat. Can I borrow your cat for a couple of days? She lives just around the corner. If he escapes, he's only going to end up back here again. So yeah, she's borrowed our cat for a couple of days.
Fred is awesome.
If you know Gina,
I do.
This is not unusual. Yeah.
Good night, Sonar.
Night, Sonar.
Oh, good night, Sonar.
Night, not any more unusual than anything else she does.
6 minutes till the end of the show, Sonar, and you couldn't stay with us. Fair
four
play, man.
4 minutes. Not even 6.
He needs to come over on Twitch.
Yeah, man. Come and Twitch with us. Wait, is that... Yeah.
It could be.
Did he say come and Twitch with us?
Yeah. Exactly what he said.
Whatever order suits you.
Come and Joe Cocker with
us. That's what I was about to say, yeah. That was that noise. Okay, so we got 5 minutes left. Let's wrap this up with a toast here. I don't know. I'm just going to say, here's to you guys. Thanks for sharing all this stuff with us and, sharing your
experiences. Here's the connections found through music.
There we go. Good, Kevin.
Cheers.
That didn't ding.
I know. I jacked up my robot dick, so I couldn't ding well. I had to use my keys to ding.
So you donged when you should have dinged.
I think I more clinked or clunked instead of dinged or donged. As I said, next week, Low Humor, High Humor with Gail Carricker, as well as the rest of us here,
Yay!
minus Ronnie.
Sneaky feeling the bias is going to swing on the whole low humor, high humor thing.
Oh, we're curious. I think we're all just gonna. Yeah, it's. I don't suspect there'll be a lot.
I'll
of high
Google it
humor.
to find out what it is.
We'll try. We'll attempt it.
And I want to thank you guys for inviting me in on this.
I managed.
Kevin,
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and you know, I've talked to you guys. The last one I was on, Kevin wasn't on, and I missed you. I missed talking to you, my friend.
Yeah, it's been good, man. Yeah, I've enjoyed it as well. I mean, tonight was always going to be an easy show for me to do because I could talk for another 3 hours now about music, and then another 3, and then another 3.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both.
But no, it's been great, and thanks for coming on for tonight, man. It's been awesome having you on. It's been a good conversation. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, so have I. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when we brought up the topic, you were one of the first guys. What?
I was going to say thanks to you guys for hanging out in the background, listening to me and Ronnie talk to each other for 3 hours.
It's a good show. I actually had time to check Facebook, unlike normal.
Reversal week.
That's right. It's
got this show.
I do enjoy shows like this, though, where I can take a bit of a back seat and let you guys talk, because as I've always said, the show's not just about me. It's just
look at that thing.
Stroke it.
Touch it for me. Touch it for me, because I can't touch it.
Life's been good to him so far.
Oh, yes, it has.
I know you don't have a
thing right now.
Did you want to play a little something on it that we won't be able to hear?
No. I'd have to bow over it like some kind of monk in supplements because it's an electric guitar. Otherwise, you wouldn't hear anything.
Sing the guitar part. Just sing the guitar part.
I could do, but I'd like us to come back to a couple of listeners left next week.
There you go. Now do the air guitar.
When people ask me if I can sing, I always give the same answer, which is I'm a quadriplegic singer. I can't hold a note. I can't carry a tune.
Nice. That's sexy. Okay, should we try to do the raid thing and send people over to another channel? I don't know who's alive right now.
Who's here? Who's on?
Plan for next week. Pick someone to raid earlier in the evening.
Well,
nobody's on my list.
You know what? Lady Orange is on, and no, she's hosting King of the Nerds. I don't know who that is. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody I'm following is on right now. So I don't know who to send. This is why we need Matricula all the time, so she could tell us who to bother. So, okay, you guys have a great week. We're going to go into the outro here on the stations. Good night to White Party Radio and Radio Real. Make sure you join us next week.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
And as for you guys on Twitch and YouTube, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Check out the highlights if you want to catch just what we found amusing, which I only have 2 or 3 things. What was that first clip, Kevin, that you're like, clip it? I wrote down clip. I don't
know.
It was
at 8 minutes. It was at 8 minutes. I remember you.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember something.
It was Alfredo was talking about races or something, or Africans or something. Or,
no, that was the second one.
Oh, that was the second one. Okay.
Oh, we'll figure it out. Anyhow,
yeah.
Good night to you, and we'll catch you again next week, buddy. Good night, Von Hagner. And good night, John Boy.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Twitch.
Good night, everybody.
So, YouTube, click like, subscribe, etc. Check out the other videos.
Do all that stuff. Yeah, do the good stuff.
Yeah. Support your tavern, damn it.